Wilson.
James Meyer.
Norma Drummond. And we are missing two of our members. We do have an alternate member, Mary Seminara, so we're going to have Mary stand in for Tara Franco this evening. Our other member, Aziz Hassan, may be joining us late. He had a meeting this afternoon that was delaying him, so. And do we have some students from John Jay here? Okay, so we'll sign your slips in about an hour or so, okay? All right, can I ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, our upcoming meetings, we have December 8th, and then our January meeting will be Thursday because of a court trial that's going to be held in this room. In the event of snow, if you're scheduled for the December meeting, I know, I hate to think of snow in November, guys, but we only meet once a month. In the event of snow, our meetings are just canceled, and anything that you might have had on for, say, the December agenda will just get moved to January. If you have a sign, you must update the date on your sign, because I don't know that a new notice would be sent out, right, Pam? Would not be. So, all right, in the event of snow, if town hall is closed, our meeting is canceled, all right, just for your information. We do have a set of minutes to approve. I think there were some slight amendments to the minutes of October 13th. Do I have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we do have a schedule of meeting dates for 2016 that, after reviewing, I'd like a motion from the board to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
I'm not going to answer reviewing, we're going to review them now. Go through them.
Well, just in case. All right, just to give you a sense of how our meeting operates, the first couple items on our agenda are decisions. Those are items where the board has already reviewed the material and held a public hearing to listen to any neighbors' comments. So we have two decisions to issue this evening. And then there are some adjourned public hearings. Those are where we've already opened and started receiving neighbors' comments. And then there are some new public hearings. So if you got a notice in the mail about an appeal that's being requested by one of your neighbors, you'll have an opportunity to comment on those applications. At the end, we have reviews, which are generally applications that the board is just reviewing or seeing for the first time. Those will not be open to public comment at this time. So with that being said, we'll start with item number 1, which is a decision, Appeal 3750, Earhart, C. Earhart, 15 Ladue Road, Hopewell Junction, requesting a variance to allow his recreational vehicle to be parked in front of the rear line of his house pursuant to Section 194-52.1 of the zoning ordinance. Would a board member care to offer the resolution?
This is appeal number 3750 for C. Earhart for a variance to allow his recreational vehicle to be parked in front of the rear line of his house pursuant to Section 194-52.1 of the zoning ordinance, located at 15 Ladue Road, Hopewell Junction. Resolution offered by Zoning Board Member Barbara Barosa. Whereas the applicant has applied for a variance to allow his recreational vehicle to be parked in front of the rear line of his house, and whereas this action is a Type 2 action under seeker and no further action is required, and whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on August 26, 2015, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on September 9th and October 13th, 2015, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that Section 194-52.1 provides as follows. A resident owner of a residential lot is permitted to park one recreational vehicle, such as a trailer, boat, camper, or mobile home, per lot in the rear yard only. Recreational vehicles must meet setbacks. The applicant recited his principal reasons for a ZBA appeal in his application. My application to you deals with parking a camper in a place other than the rear of my house, contrary to Section 194-52.1 of the Town Code. The reason for the request is that my house is built on a hill and access to my backyard with a 36-foot fifth wheel camper and a 1-ton truck is impossible. The place that I request to park my camper is on the west side of the property on what is basically the only level area, set back far enough from the roadway as to not cause line-of-sight issues with traffic on Ladue Road. It would be more than 50 feet from the sideline to the neighbor to the west and hundreds of feet to the rear neighbor. My proposed site puts the camper at a minimum of 20 feet from the roadway edge. It would also be close to a heavily wooded sideline area to the west, and to the east there is a mature maple and a mature cedar tree within feet of the camper. Among his reasons for the request, the applicant noted the weight of each of the 4 batteries used in the camper exceeded 100 pounds and needed to stay charged to avoid costly replacements. Additionally, the ability to park the camper in an area convenient to the applicant's house is a reasonable accommodation for the applicant's limited mobility. There was substantial testimony and correspondence, both for and against this application, offered at the review held on August 11, 2015, and at the public hearing held on October 13, 2015. Among the testimony and correspondence received for the applicant were from neighbors at 16 Ladue Road across the street, and which property owners the variance would have the greatest impact upon. And among the testimony and correspondence received against the applicant was a neighborhood petition against the grant of the requested variance. Based upon weighing the testimony and correspondence received by this board against the 5 factors in the New York State Town Law, Section 267-B, for reviewing a variance application, this board hereby finds as follows. 1. The applicant's camper may be set back far enough from the road to not cause any line-of-sight problems and meets the required setbacks for neighboring properties. 2. The applicant's desired result cannot be achieved except by granting the requested variance, as the topography of the applicant's property and rock issues do not allow the applicant to place his camper in the rear yard. Additionally, a great deal of the applicant's property frontage is along a curve on the road, creating a lot with 2 front yards. 3. The variance sought is not substantial according to various testimony received by the board. 4. The proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or the zoning district. The applicant is simply parking the camper in a different location on his property where existing trees provide some screening of the vehicle to travelers along the roadway. 5. Although the requested variance is self-created, once again, the applicant is simply changing the parking of the camper to a different location on his property, which is subject to topographic and rock issues in parking the camper in the rear. 6. The benefit to the applicant exceeds the detriment to the community by granting of this variance to this one property owner with a set of unusual constraints in attempting to comply with the requirements of Section 194-52-1. Therefore, this board hereby grants the applicant's request for a variance to allow his camper to be parked in front of the rear line of his house pursuant to Section 194-52.1 of the Town of East Fishkill zoning ordinance. This board notes that this is a unique request and set of circumstances and should not be construed as setting a precedent. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board should cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Second.
Let's go with Mary on that one.
That's fine.
Votes as follows. Jim?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
And myself, aye. The motion carries. Thank you. All right. Item number 2 is Appeal 3753, Sienna and P. Sienna, 624 South Hillside Road, Wappingers Falls, New York, is requesting a 3-foot rear line variance for a proposed 10-foot by 20-foot shed pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Somebody want to offer that resolution?
Sure. In reference to appeal number 3753 by Ann P. Sienna, requesting a 3-foot rear-line variance for a proposed 10-foot by 20-foot shed pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance located at 624 South Hillside Road, Wappingers Falls, New York. Resolution being offered by zoning board member James Meyer. And whereas this applicant has applied for a 3-foot rear-line variance for a proposed 10-foot by 20-foot shed, and whereas this action is a Type 2 action under SEQR and no further action is required, whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on September 30th, 2015, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on October 13th, 2015, And whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that at the review held on September 9, 2015, this board learned the following facts. 1. Ms. Sienna has a shed on her property which predates the zoning ordinance. 2. Ms. Sienna has 2 narrow lots. Her property is L-shaped, the 2 lots having been merged into 1 tax lot. The board noted that the lots are smaller than the normal lots in Hillside Lake. 3. The shed had been placed on gravel 27 feet from the rear property line, and our neighbors were okay with that. The neighbors, including the current lot owner, also gave Ms. Sienna letters in support of the placement of the proposed shed. At the public hearing on October 13, 2015, this board further learned, 1. After extensive questioning, the board concluded that the applicant does not operate in the upholstery business at her home, nor does she operate any business under her personal name or a business name from her home. The corner lot owner, Beatrice Windsor, spoke at length. She stated that she and the applicant were friends until Ms. Windsor mentioned that water from Ms. Sienna's house ran down and onto the Windsor property. Ms. Windsor attributed this water flow to the prior property owner of the applicant's property, having placed a ditch and diverted the water to the Windsor property. In the end, Ms. Windsor said that this ditch created dampness in her family room. 3. After much testimony by Ms. Windsor, the board advised both the applicant and Ms. Windsor that any drainage issues between the respective property owners should be the subject of separate discussions between the property owners and not the subject of the rear line variance application before the ZBA. In the end, the board advised the parties, if Ms. Sienna were to move the shed 3 feet, she wouldn't need to be here. The board also noted to Ms. Windsor that if Ms. Sienna placed the shed in accordance with the setback requirements, it would be more visually prominent to Ms. Windsor. Finally, Ms. Windsor noted or raised 2 additional issues. A. Ms. Sienna has cut down trees and has been placing the wood on the property line. B. Some landscaping of the shed and the wood piles would help, according to Ms. Windsor. Therefore, given all of the foregoing, this board hereby grants a 3-foot rear line variance for a proposed 10-foot by 20-foot shed, subject to the following. 1. Landscaping in the form of several bushes is to be placed behind the shed on the site closest to Ms. Windsor's property by the applicant no later than June 30th, 2016.
Yes.
Period.
Period. Thank you.
This is a unique application and property situation and should be treated as such in the future. This is a type 2 action under secret. No further action is required. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows. Jim?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
And myself, aye. So that motion carries. Thank you. All right, so now we are on to adjourn public hearings. Item number 3, Appeal 3728, Earth Angels Veterinary Hospital, Dr. Alexandra Barrientos and Robert Hodakovi of Veterinary Wellness PC, doing business as Earth Angels Veterinary Hospital, are requesting a use variance in order to operate a veterinary hospital at 1 Four Corners Boulevard, Hopewell Junction, which is an R1 zone. The applicant has requested an adjournment to our December 8th meeting because, again, they're still finishing up with the town of Wappingers where they've been exploring a new site. But I do need a motion to open this public hearing or reconvene the public hearing.
So moved.
A second? All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody here who wishes to speak for or against? Again, there's no new information. The applicant is continuing to seek an alternative site. Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing for one more meeting?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Okay, item number 4. Appeal 3740, Picard, Michael Todd, representing Joseph Picard, 53 Autumn Chase Drive, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 5-foot sideline variance for an existing pool, a 15-foot sideline variance for existing pool equipment, and a 5-foot sideline variance for an existing 12-foot by 16-foot shed. A certificate of compliance has been issued for the shed. pursuant to Sections 194-95 and 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to reconvene the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good evening.
Hello.
All right, as we had previously mentioned, you submitted a building application to install a pool on this property. Due to a number of circumstances with other building going on at the site, the pool location ended up getting moved.
Right.
You came in seeking a variance. The board didn't necessarily look favorable upon that request and suggested you pursue a lot line realignment. And now you have returned. So give us an update, and I believe you've given us some new materials this evening.
We looked into the lot line realignment, and with the expense and the neighbor not really wanting to move that lot line, what we did is explored what I went over with my team of why we actually did move that pool.
Okay.
And I'd spoken to Mary briefly about it in the building department one day. The septic system where it was on the original plan is completely switched from where it's shown. So basically where we had the pool drawn in is now the septic system. And again, as I wrote in that letter, we moved the pool based on some false information from it was either that original survey or the homeowner client telling me that a set of pine trees that was the property line that they had planted with the previous homeowner, the neighbor.
Okay. Pam, do we have the new survey? Our applications only have the old survey. So part of the material that you've submitted with us this evening, number one, includes some pictures. So we see this.
The house you see in the background is the neighbor's house. I thought that would be a good reference point.
Okay. And so the fence is on the property line?
The fence has been moved.
So where's the fence now?
The fence is at least 2 feet to almost 5 feet inside of the property line now.
Okay, so the pictures in here
Yep.
reflect the
They do.
moved fence?
It's a moved fence, yes.
Okay.
Which I walked the property with the neighbor, so they are aware of that.
And so the pool equipment itself is inside the fence?
Right.
And thank you, the pool, just in case you guys need a survey. And so the pool equipment is 10 feet in from the property line, right? Because it needs a 15-foot variance? All right, so on this, now suddenly you're raising this issue about septic fields, but the survey doesn't tell us where the septic fields are. So, and again, all you've given us is a picture with
But
the...
I don't know how to get the septic fields drawn into a survey if there's no... If you go there in the middle of summer, you can see exactly where the septic fields are. But we don't have any way... we have no paperwork, nothing to show where we can see that the septic fields actually are.
Right.
Other than,
Surveyors indicate where septic fields are on surveys all the time.
right, but hey, you can't after the fact, not as an as-built.
Well, okay. I believe you can, but okay.
It's not the
They-
septic system. They'll show the box. They'll show the septic tank and the distribution box, but the leach fields, they'll say it's this wide, this long, and here's where they stop. You have to wait for another drought to show where they actually are once the grass
So
dies.
again, part of the discussion was the fact that the pool got moved over significantly.
Correct.
It's not anywhere near.
Correct.
All right, and how big is the pool itself?
Length and width,
Yeah.
20 by 40.
So the 40-foot direction is what's going toward the neighbor's side.
Right.
So again, if the pool even had just been 20 by 30, we would have been 10 feet less of a concern there.
We don't really build a 20 by 30 pool, but right.
Well, 16 by 30, something like that. I know there are other
Right.
measurements, right? Actually, if you could have gone as much as 35 feet and still not needed a variance. So, again, I mean, we asked you to pursue a lot line realignment. You've said that the neighbors are not interested. I would like to read into the record a letter that we received This is dated today. Attention East Fishkill Zoning Board, good evening. As the owners of 57 Autumn Chase Drive, I am writing to express my concerns regarding issuing the 5-foot sideline variance for the pool and the 15-foot sideline variance for the pool equipment. During the past 2 months, I was never approached by the Bacards regarding their issues. However, I have had several phone conversations and a couple of meetings with Mike Todd, who I am told by written letter was representing him. I guess they are way too busy to have knocked on my door. I, however, have gone out of my way to come to understand their need for variances. As of today, I have still never been approached by the Bacards. The only person that seems overly concerned is Mr. Todd. So I would like to state a few facts for you to help render a fair decision. From what Mr. Todd told me, the Bacards were under the assumption that a row of evergreen trees that separated our property belonged to the Bacards. In addition, they were using them as a setback guide to place the pool. Unfortunately, they were mistaken. They lie on my property. In addition, I'm not sure I would have trusted a row of trees to go by. After all, they must have spent over $200,000 in renovations to their home. Why not pay for a survey before starting construction? In addition, they are the original homeowners. Shouldn't they know, after living there for 16 years or so, where their property lines were? In roughly 2006 or 2007, I paid to have a survey done on my property, during which time stakes were placed on the property lines. However, they mysteriously disappeared during the pool construction. I never made a big deal about it, but now I'm a little curious why they disappeared. My main concern regarding this variance is that my property values not be impacted. There are 2 footing drains pointed toward my home, which I want removed. A fence was placed on my property in error, then it was removed. However, I want a new survey done, paid for by the Bacards, indicating the property lines. I cannot say without hesitation that this is okay with me. I don't even know how far away everything is. The other concern I had was the noise generated by the pool equipment. The last concern I expressed with this type of fencing they chose, I was told when I moved here, deed restrictions were in place. Fencing had to be metal, not wood. Furthermore, I do not claim to be a pool designer, nor am I a pool installer. Whatever decision is made, I hope more homeowners take into consideration their neighbors a little more. Good night. There's no name on this. But again, they indicate that they're the owners of 57 Autumn Chase Drive. So again, the homeowners themselves apparently never reached out to the neighbor. The communication's been limited to yourself.
The only reason for that is that they were actually a client of mine beforehand. So I offered to go talk to her. I didn't realize that they were going to be upset that they weren't saying hello back. And really, I had walked. This is the neighbor that I had walked the property with, based on our past relationship. And she said to me, "Well, when is the pool going to be up and running?" I said, "The pool's been up and running for a year." And so I believe what they said was, yeah, at least the filter system was up and running while we were doing the hardscapes.
Okay.
But you can't hear anything, and she stated that you can't hear the filter system running. And even moving the filter system, to move the filter system, we have to put it closer to the Picard's house, which is now going to put it within line of sight and closer to their house based on triangulation of where it's going to sit.
I don't know, comments or questions from board members?
The only concern I have is that the argument is the leach field's in the way, but it looks to me like the leach fields on the picture are behind the pool, and that not between the middle of the property and the pool. If I look at...
Jim, what do you mean behind the pool?
I'm looking at this picture here, and it looks to me like it's behind.
Now, that's if you drew a parallel line between the pool, the leach field, the leach field and the pool are in a parallel line, let's say 50 foot from the back of the house. So if you slide that pool down, and the only way to avoid the leach fields is to turn it and put it way in the back of the property, which just gets wetter and wetter and wetter as you go back there.
Well, the hardscaping is not on the leach field.
But you can't put hardscaping on a leach field.
No,
Correct.
but if you go
But
by...
the pool could have been then 10 feet closer to the house.
No, without a doubt.
That's, well, okay.
No, closer to the house, you can't put it closer to the
Right.
house.
That's my question.
You have to slide the pool in a line that's parallel with the house. It's really the only spot on that property to put it.
I'm asking to understand that.
Right.
Because I'm looking at the survey, I'm looking at this picture, and if I transpose this to there, this is the leach field. Now, the hardscaping, certainly you could come 5 feet and maybe 10 feet over, have the hardscaping go. I mean, the patio, you would only need to be 15 feet away from the property line. The pool needs to be 25. So even that 8 or whatever feet the hardscaping you have between the house and the pool. The pool could
It's not
occupy.
between the house and the pool. It's between, again, if you drew a line that ran parallel with the house out into the yard. If you took the, which I know the yard is not a rectangle. If you took the yard as a rectangle, you went out from the house and drew a line, it basically, because it drops off so dramatically from the house, because the land is so wet. So you have the increased elevation for the leach fields, and you have the pool sitting at basically the same elevation. So the pool really has to slide along that line.
Is this picture wrong where it's marked with leach field?
I agree. If you see where the fire pit is and the patio jut out, the whole area on this survey...
Is my line pushing it down too far, possibly?
Because it shows it's going to be back here. This whole area is clear here. So I don't see why, and again, part of the problem is the permit that you applied for, the pool moved 54 feet from where you applied for. That's more than the length of the pool. So I'm not seeing it. But again, we decided we wanted to hear from neighbors, so any other comments or questions from board members?
In the past, it's been the practice to go look at it where it actually is. Because looking at a picture, I tried to take as many pictures as I could from it. You know, the yard just drops down into a flatter area, which is where the leach fields are set.
Yeah, and
So I'm trying to draw back in a picture of the leach fields from the pictures that I took.
if that pool slid in the direction of the walk, yes, is there elevation there? Would that have to have been lowered to accommodate it? Maybe, but not. There's nothing preventing that other than a little more excavation from the pool coming up the sidewalk towards the house.
Or you eliminate 5 feet of the patio in this direction.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, I understand you want to come down and be on a patio, you don't want to walk to the edge of the pool on a sidewalk, but I'm having a hard time seeing why the pool couldn't have been 8-10 feet closer to the house. I'm sure it was a nice-looking location. You come down, it's sloping down, coming down to a flat area. The other side, you got all those nice tall evergreens. I'm not seeing how the leach field's playing into the decision.
I thought at the last meeting, or when maybe the first meeting, you represented that because of some other construction that was happening at the house, that there was some kind of wall that was built, and that was one of the reasons that this got moved over.
Mary, do you know why that wall was built?
I have no idea why that wall was built.
What
Okay,
wall?
I don't even know what wall it
showed up
is.
in the construction, and I asked him why, and part of it, I think, was because of the way that the land slopes, and they thought that they would need it for a retaining wall, but I don't think that it turned out to be the case. But they built it, and it's there.
But where's that?
I'm
We
not
don't
even
see a
seeing one.
picture of that wall.
Yeah, I don't see a wall.
Where is this wall?
It juts
It's-
out, is it in the survey? I think it's
No.
shown in the survey.
Nope.
Probably like halfway in between the whole house, maybe a little bit more to the right.
Where the new addition starts and the old house ends, there's a wall that sticks out 15 feet?
Probably.
Yeah, I don't see it.
It's on this little one.
Did it show the deck? Because,
It shows a wood deck, yes.
okay, so it's at the very edge of the deck. If you're facing the house from the back, it's all the way to the right-hand side. They used that as the last footing for the piers for the deck.
Oh, there's a line
There's a
there.
whole, and it goes out to
There's
the
a
back
line
of
to
the
the deck
property.
that looks like it comes out past the deck.
Yes, that's the wall.
I know, I
probably.
agree. I'm not, I
I'm not
don't,
seeing how that interferes with the placement of the pool. Does that come down? The house went over?
yeah, because the walk to the patio to the pool is beyond that wall.
That's what I
You want to come look? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, I've just, is this the wall?
Probably,
It
yeah.
says wood deck here.
Yeah, that's the
Addition there,
So,
addition
This
there.
is all a slope.
Why does
The
this,
slope goes, this is all down and it's a hill.
right, which is
It's a
why
hill
he's saying the
right here.
leach fields are back here.
Mhm.
So I understand that, but again, why couldn't the pool have moved over even just to
That's
here?
probably part of the hill still too. It goes,
Looks like the hill ends here with, above that wall.
That's here for the construction. Looks to me like the
that might be
leach
steps
field
going
back
down.
on
I
the
don't know.
survey says.
I don't know how they regraded it. The last time I was out here was for these footings and stuff. I
Okay.
haven't even been out there, but maybe you should.
Pictures behind what the
Maybe they leveled it out.
could be.
So you can see there's a grade difference here.
Yeah.
Don't see anything here.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
So you couldn't put it, you moved over there.
So, all right. Let me open up for public comment unless anybody else
That's
has.
fine.
All right, is there anybody here who wishes to comment on the request of Joseph Picard, 53 Autumn Chase Drive, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 5-foot sideline variance for an existing pool, a 15-foot sideline variance for existing pool equipment, and a 5-foot sideline variance for an existing 12-foot by 16-foot shed? Seeing none? It's the pleasure of the board.
I guess move to close and reserve
Close
decision.
and reserve. Motion, second?
Yeah, that's what it was.
All in favor? Aye. All right, we're going to have to make a decision on this.
Okay,
All right?
thank you.
If I can return the surveys to Pam for the file. Thank you. All right, item number 5, Appeal 3755. Oh, I'm sorry, so we closed and reserve on that one, so.
Yes.
Next one, item number 5, Appeal 3755 Navarro. Michael Navarro, 64 Nathan Hale Drive, Stormville is requesting a 25-foot rear line variance for a proposed 25-foot by 34-foot, 883 square feet detached garage pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to reconvene the public hearing?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so when we were last here, we had some discussion about the potential of moving the garage around, maybe changing its direction. You did hear from a couple of your neighbors who had raised some concerns. The following Sunday, I actually did go out to the Navarro's house and did a site visit with them so that I could see. You actually made it very easy for me because they had, not only did they have their survey, but they had tracing paper on top showing where the addition was, and they had a cutout of the size of the garage, which you've already shrank a little bit at this point.
Yes.
And so we were able to take that cutout and move it to different locations and see it right on the survey there without destroying your survey. Realistically, I have to say, the neighbor to your right, whose backyard runs along the right side of your driveway and the addition.
Who's here with us this evening,
Okay, that's
yeah.
fine, is the most impacted neighbor.
Yeah.
His backyard is clearly doesn't have a whole lot of vegetation, and he's looking at all this new construction. He's looking at what's going on.
Yes.
If the board were to require that garage turned around, right now, the way you would drive in and pull into the garage, this neighbor really doesn't see headlights, isn't impacted at all. But if we were to ask you to turn it around, this neighbor would be significantly impacted, and he's right there. I mean,
Yes,
really.
and that's why we called and asked for the site visit, and we brought some pictures.
Oh, you did take some pictures, okay.
And we also
Before
have...
you do the pictures, let me just make one more additional comment. The two neighbors who did speak, you pointed out their homes to me so that I could see. One with the leaves off the tree, I could barely even see that person's house from your backyard, from where this garage would be. The other one, sure, I could see.
Yes.
And I could see where that person could reasonably see the
Yes.
addition and the construction that you were doing from probably the second floor bedroom for that home. So that one I could reasonably see it, but again, you had another neighbor who was directly behind you, who again, whose home was closer and would frankly be more directly impacted by the
Yes.
construction visually, because there wasn't a whole lot of vegetation between your property and theirs.
Right.
As opposed to the other two property owners, there was significant vegetation between your property and theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And the one property line was pretty close to yours, so I
Yes.
did see where that was. Ultimately, if he cuts down trees on his own property, he would be more significantly impacted. So I did actually suggest, I forgot my iPad that day, so I did suggest you take a couple pictures.
We did.
So if you want to share them with the board, that
And
would be great.
we have a letter from 3 of our other neighbors, the
Okay.
one directly that is most impacted as well.
Okay? Yeah,
And we did shrink the size of the garage. Right now, we're proposing a 30 by 24 foot.
Well, that's the,
Yeah,
right
this is-
to the right side.
right, okay. So for the board's information, it's essentially, this is the neighbor, this is how close the neighbor is on the right. And this is the driveway, right here. So if we change the location of the garage so that it was pointing and they would be pulling in, going toward this neighbor's property, that as they backed out of the garage, this neighbor would be hit with the headlights. He's right here, okay? Very definitely, this neighbor would be impacted. As opposed to, this is the other neighbor in the back that I said had a more visual impact. And this is the neighbor that spoke out and what he sees, and the other one's even over here. So less vegetation, or even more vegetation and less sight for that person. This is the house of the neighbor that spoke out against.
And we've spoken directly with our neighbors to the right because we knew that they were most impacted, and we talked about what they would like to see as well, what kind of a privacy fence or natural vegetation, and we all agreed that it would be natural vegetation.
Okay.
We are putting in rain gardens as well because of the building plan, and so that will be taken care of. But we also thought of evergreen trees, like an arborvitae, as you said, we looked into that.
Right, the
So what
food
we're
for the deer.
proposing, yeah. My deer spray. So we're proposing to put a line of those or Lombardis. I have to see which will stay evergreen and be deer resistant, and that's what we'll put against our neighbor to the right, and also in the back. We want to be respectful of all our neighbors. That's not,
And you did cut down a number of trees.
We did,
We
we did.
clearly talked about that.
Yes,
that
some
These
needed
neighbors
to.
had a lot of vegetation there before, and now they
Yes.
don't, so.
yes, yes.
Okay, can we keep these in our file, please?
Sure.
Okay,
So you
thanks.
said you reduced it to 30 by 24?
Yes.
Two-car garage?
Yeah, it's a little, we're going to try to get 3 cars in because for the winter, that's really what we wanted, to keep, we want to get as much off the property and in the garage. But,
You already have, you have a one-car garage in your house?
yes, yes.
But you're converting the garage to this accessory apartment?
Yes, so my son will be there,
Yeah.
with his car, and,
Right. All right, so let me read into the record, and then
Okay.
we'll go for any other comments. This is dated yesterday, November 9th. Dear East Fishkill zoning board, our neighbors Michael and Sheila Navarro are seeking a 25-foot rear line variance for a 2-car garage. They have assured all of us that they will put up natural barriers where needed to ensure privacy to everyone. We have no problem with the granting of this variance. Thank you, Tim Tuttle, 63 Nathan Hale. William, I'm sorry, I can't read this.
I don't know his last name. He's just our neighbor to the left.
I want to say Nicholson?
It
I'm
could
not
be.
sure. 74 Nathan Hale, and, sorry, maybe Keith?
Keith?
Keith? Okay, something.
Keith is
Sorry.
here.
50 Nathan Hale Drive. Sorry, I don't mean to,
And that's the neighbor that's most directly impacted.
okay. All right, so this is for the record?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. All right, so comments or questions from board members? No? Okay, is there anyone here who wishes to speak for or against the request from Michael Navarro, 64 Nathan Hale Drive, Stormville, requesting a 25-foot rear line variance for a proposed 25-foot by 34-foot garage, detached garage? Sure,
Do we
come on up.
Sit down? Do we sit down?
Yes, you can sit down,
Okay.
thank you. Good evening.
Hello.
I would like to see where this garage is actually going to go. I'm the guy directly behind them. I
Okay.
also have some pictures from my house
Sure.
that I could show you. And yes, there's vegetation, but obviously not there all year. And I'm trying to ascertain where this garage is actually going to be placed.
Okay, where are you when you're taking these
All right,
pictures?
this is out of my bedroom.
Because again, your property
This is-
line
this
does
is-
go
this
pretty
is-
far back.
This is no zoom, okay? This is from my bedroom window.
Okay.
This is, I'm sorry,
Your name?
John Cianflone,
Thank you.
C-I-A-N-F-L-O-N-E. And this is zoomed in a little bit, and this is, you can see.
So this is definitely zoomed in.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
This is not, you could see where, this is this gentleman's
That's the other
their
house,
neighbor,
okay.
right, which I never used to be able to see, but, you know.
Well, I
can't-
know, they cut down,
can't-
they cut
I
down a
can't
lot of
stop them from
trees,
cutting
no
trees
question.
down.
Right.
But that's what you're actually looking at.
Okay, so this is
But I
the
don't
one
know where
that's
this
no
garage is
zoom.
We're actually going to go. That's what I'm.
All right,
getting at.
it appears it's going to be right over here.
Not behind this, next to it. See,
Not here, it's going to be next to it,
like to the.
closer
if
to
I'm
the,
looking at it.
closer to the rear of your neighbor.
Excuse me, can I show him on the survey? I'm more than
Sure,
happy to.
sure, that's fine.
I mean, I'm not trying to, I'm trying to get along.
We want you to understand what they're proposing, that's fine.
This is where our house is now. This is the garage and extension. So, you know, we have that item 4 road, it's going to be right back
So it's
here.
going to be back.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's really impacted.
No, I understand
And we-
that.
we
And
have-
so the headlights will go into there.
What
They
are you
should
saying?
block, you should not be seeing headlights as they pull in because it should,
And we're going to put in addition, you know, I'm a gardener, you've seen, we're going to put all evergreens all through here.
Right.
So,
So,
we
yeah, I
want to be
was-
good neighbors.
folks, if we could just have you step back from the,
I was on the assumption.
Oh, our house? Oh.
I thought you.
Yes.
oh, okay. Anybody still need this? Oh. So, again, we can, she's already offering to put up some
Put the evergreen
bushes.
trees up, and
Okay,
there's no other, I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm okay with it.
okay. Can we ask you to sign in, please, just so we have the spelling of your name correct? And anybody else who wishes to speak, if we could ask you to sign when you're finished speaking, just sign in.
I'm the lesser impacted neighbor. I'm diagonally to the rear,
Okay,
and that's all. We were concerned about the sight line. There's so many trees down now that I
Yeah.
can not only see their house, I can see the house on the far side, too. But if they're going to put more trees, then that would be great.
she definitely had a lot of landscaping back there. There was, and, you know, there was a lot going on in that yard, and we did discuss that, so. Good, thank you for your comments. I appreciate you coming out this evening. Anybody else? Seeing none?
Just
Go ahead, yeah.
I think you mentioned before.
Mr. Navarro, why don't you come? Yeah,
You mentioned last time that you would remove the shed that's in the back.
Yes,
that's-
everything's gone.
yeah, I didn't see a shed.
No, it's gone.
All you had was that, there was a canvas area that was just temporary,
Yeah.
because it's the stuff that you expect to store in the shed.
Yes,
That's why.
Yeah, the shed's gone, the pool's gone, there were a lot of things gone.
yeah.
Okay. All right, so we don't actually need the variance for the shed? No. Okay? The neighbor, I'm sorry, I apologize, I don't remember your name. Can these stay for our file, please?
I'm sorry,
Can we have these, your pictures for the file?
John, C-I-A-N,
Okay,
F-L-O-N-E, Cianflone.
John, can we put these, your pictures in our file? Thank you. We appreciate it. Okay, unless there are any other questions? Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Yeah, somebody's going to have to.
Do we have?
I don't think we have one.
No? Okay, so we're going to, I'm going to have, ask you to amend your motion to close, amend and reserve. Thank you. Again, you guys have to finish the construction of your addition before you qualify for this anyway.
I don't think so, because we shrunk it in to fit within the footprint of the current house. But
Okay.
we haven't applied for building permit for that or anything
Okay,
yet.
we're going to need another month to issue the decision.
that's fine.
Okay, so we're going to close and reserve.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we'll have a decision for you hopefully next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't forget to change the size, 24 by 30, she said.
Yes, and take off the shed. Thank you. Oh, it's not on here. That's right, okay. Okay, item number 6, Appeal 3756, Musey, Gerard Musey, 9 Ninham Avenue, Wappingers Falls, is requesting a 4-foot rear line variance for an existing 12-foot by 18-foot shed pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Good evening. All right, if you don't mind, if you could just recap for us and for your neighbors what your request is. I understand you're adding a 3-season room to your...
A kitchen and a 3-seater.
Okay,
And the shed is 2.5 feet too close to the 50-foot allowance in the back of the property.
okay.
And I'm needing 4 feet just for argument's sake.
And it's a 12-foot by 18-foot shed. It's been there for how long?
I would say about 8, 9 years?
8 or 9, but you did put it up yourself?
No.
You did, okay. Sorry, I have to refresh my memory.
You said you wanted a picture. I have one on my cell phone if you want to see it.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, you can't even see the house. I went up to the neighbor, no one even answered the door.
Where is that picture being taken from?
Just
Where are you standing? At your house or your...
No, in my backyard,
Okay,
probably 50 feet away from it.
okay.
I mean, you can't even see the house behind it. It's up
Show,
on the
could
hill.
you, should show the other members? Thank you.
So you're standing by your house and
There's a direct line between the house and the shed.
Yeah. Makes sense. And I got other one.
That's
Okay. Comments or questions from board members?
No, I mean, we have everything in front of us, I think. It's pretty de minimis.
Right. So is there anyone here who wishes to speak for or against the request from Gerard Musey? Sorry, I don't want to pronounce your name wrong.
That's right.
9 Ninham Avenue, requesting a 4-foot rear line variance for an existing 12-foot by 18-foot shed. What's the bottom? What is this sitting on? Is it a concrete base? Is it a
It's rock.
rock?
Yeah.
Okay. But again, 12-foot by 18-foot, to be able to move that, it's,
No.
okay. And it was not installed by you, so. So do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye. So,
Okay, and,
you got it?
Yeah. Appeal number 3756, Gerald Musey. The name of the project is a 4-foot rear line variance for an existing 12-foot by 18-foot shed pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance at 9 Ninham Avenue in Wappingers Falls. Resolution offered by Mary Seminara. Whereas the applicant has applied for a 4-foot rear line variance for an existing 12-foot by 18-foot shed, and whereas this is a Type 2 action under seeker, and no further action is required, and whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on October 28, 2015, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on November 10, 2015, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to the community, as the shed is already in place and has been for many years, the desired result cannot be achieved by some other means. The variance requested is not substantial. The proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions as the structure is already existing. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request by Gerald Musey, 9 Ninham Avenue, Wappingers, for a 4-foot rear line variance for an existing 12-foot by 18-foot shed pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant/owner.
is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows, Jim?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
And myself, aye. So your motion carries, you're all set.
Just for the record, it's written in there as Gerard, right, not Gerald. I just want to make sure
Did I-
Gerard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all right.
Did I mispronounce?
You said Gerald twice, I just want to make sure for the
Sorry.
record it's not written in there that way.
it says Gerard.
Thank you.
Gerard. My mistake, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Thank you.
We're good?
You're good.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, item number 7, Appeal 3759 Park, William and Jillian Park, 28 Lake Walton Road, Wappingers Falls, are requesting a 20-foot sideline variance for a proposed 12-foot by 16-foot shed to be located in front of the rear line of the house pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi there.
Good evening. Number one, I want to thank you. I drove down on Saturday morning on Lake Walton Road and saw your sign was down. It had blown down, but you did by Saturday night, it was back up again. So I appreciate your diligence. I did have to remind the Navarros on my site visit that their sign belonged up. So
Our property is mostly rock, so it was really difficult to
Yeah.
secure it in
Well,
the
it
ground.
gave me, I drive down that road pretty frequently, so I did have an opportunity multiple times to see, and I can't help but, you have to force yourself, only because of the sign, do you look your direction. Otherwise, you're just naturally drawn to the school and the buses on the other side.
Right.
So one of the comments you made as we reviewed your application was the fact that, with the trees, there's a row of
Sycamores.
some sycamores and some other just growth there, vegetation there, that pretty much just, you're not going to be looking past this. You really have to diligently look past this to be able to see the play equipment that you have back there and where this shed's going to be.
Right.
So I think the only question we had, because you hadn't decided, was what this was going to look like.
Yes.
All
We
right,
actually
so-
ended up getting a quote, and I have a picture of the one that we're going to get.
Because we were just a little concerned that it would look like your house, so it would blend in a little bit more, so.
Yeah, so we, this past weekend, we went to a shed company, and they told us that we can have it built within 4 or 5 weeks, and we can choose the color and all that good stuff.
Okay, just to get it on the record, this is a property opposite Fishkill Plains Elementary School where the neighbor has a very long flag lot driveway, and then their house is, located, the flag part of the lot is located behind your house. And the driveway actually has a pull-off probably behind your play equipment back there, but
Yes.
because of the vegetation, and you have a fairly narrow lot, frankly, on the right side of your house. And what you described to us at the last meeting was the use of this shed would be for your snow blower and for other things
Yes.
that make sense to have access immediately to your driveway.
That's right.
And so when we explored really locations immediately adjacent to your driveway, you had very limited ones, particularly because you were concerned with young children. You don't want to block your
The play
visual ability to watch the children in the backyard.
Right, if my daughter's in the playset and my other daughter's and getting something from the garage, I wouldn't be able to see one of them.
Right, and
So-
it is not an existing shed.
No, no.
So,
Going by
so
the
if you don't
books.
mind, just show us what you're proposing to do.
So this is the creme de la creme, but
Okay?
we're not going to have this.
There's
but
not
it's
going to be a
A-frame.
cupola with a
No
rooster on the top of
flowers,
it?
No flowers, nothing on top. But it's going to be an A-frame shed.
Okay.
We are able to match it with the light gray,
Okay.
and we can choose the shingles. We're going to choose black shingles, and our house is the same color,
Okay. Everybody see that?
minus the flowers.
Thank you.
And no cupola.
That's extra.
And what's the weather pane on the top?
Yeah, that's all extra.
All right.
gonna hold
Any
off.
comments or questions from board members? Again, you're so distracted looking at the other side. No, sorry, but nobody's really going to look at that side of the street unless they're meant to. Anybody wishes to speak for or against the request of William and Jillian Park, 28 Lake Walton Road, requesting a 20-foot sideline variance for a proposed 12-foot by 16-foot shed? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're allowed to.
I always hesitate in case you want to speak up.
I was waiting for you.
That's fine.
All right. Would somebody care to offer the
Is it
resolution?
my turn again? So in reference to Appeal 3759 by William and Jillian Park, requesting a 20-foot sideline variance for a proposed 12-foot by 16-foot shed to be located in front of the rear line of the house pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Of course, located at 28 Lake Walton Road, Wappingers Falls, New York. with resolution being offered by zoning board member James Meyer, and whereas the applicant has applied for a 20-foot sideline variance for a proposed 12-foot by 16-foot shed to be located in front of the rear line of the house, and whereas this action is a type 2 action under SEQA and no further action is required, and whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on October 28, 2015, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on November 10, 2015, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to the community, the desired result cannot be achieved by some other means as the applicant has a no-fill easement for stormwater retention in part of the rear yard. The applicant also has a swing set which would be blocked if the shed was placed in another location. The variance request is not substantial. The proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request by William and Jillian Park, 28 Lake Walton Road, Wappingers Falls, for a 20-foot sideline variance for a proposed 12-foot by 16-foot shed to be located in front of the rear line of the house pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows, Jim?
Aye.
Barbara? Mary?
Aye.
And myself, aye. So your motion carries. You're all set.
Thank you.
John Jay students. We'll take a break for a second and sign any of your certificates. Okay, that's fine. But you have to tell me what meeting did you attend? Ah, he wrote it. East Fishkill, well, zoning meeting, not...
Is it? No. Close enough.
Do you have one, or are you just keeping him company?
Oh, he was writing his
You have one, Mary can sign
He
it.
was writing it.
Oh, well,
You can finish it when you're back up.
that's fine, yeah. And when you come in, just sneak in, Barbara can sign it at the end there. Okay? Usually we have to write in what our title is, so. All right, there you go.
Thank you.
All right, item number 8, Appeal 3760, Viglotti, Michael Viglotti, 284 Hosner Mountain Road, Stormville, is requesting a 25-foot front line variance for a proposed 12-foot by 24-foot shed to be located in front of the rear line of the house pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good evening.
Hi.
All right, so we did have an opportunity to review your application at our last meeting. You have a very heavily wooded lot, a very steep lot.
Yes.
On Hosner Mountain Road. As you come up, there's quite an incline on your driveway to be able to get up where your house is. So what you're proposing is to be able to put a garage. You already have a gravel driveway there, but you want to be able to put
Shed.
sorry.
Yeah.
We did talk about what the use of it was going to be and
Yeah.
whether it was appropriately a garage or a shed. So you're talking about a shed. To be able to put it, as you're coming up your driveway, it'll be off to the right there, not immediately on your driveway, but because of the gravel there, you'll have access to be able to get in and out there.
Yes.
It is fairly, again, screened by just vegetation from the road, although it's still going to be a little bit visible there. And what's it going to look like?
I have pictures here.
Okay.
If you want to see.
Well, it's going to have vinyl, and it's not going to have that piece on it.
All right, and what's the color of your house? So how does it match your house?
I'm going to do the yellow vinyl siding with maroon shutter, just like the house.
Just like your house?
Yeah,
Okay.
basically, it's just the just.
Let me see that. Jim and Barbara? All right. Thank you. So again, the important thing is that it would match your house, but because of the limitations, the topography of your property and the rock and everything else and the others heavily wooded, we don't want you necessarily to cut down trees just to be able to put a shed up. Any comments or questions from board members?
Did we ask whether this is definitely a shed, not a garage?
It's a shed.
We did.
He's adamant it's a shed.
It's a shed. It's a shed.
Explain again for the record what you're going to be putting in there. There was a trailer, I think, but not.
Yeah, just have a 5x10 trailer, just like a
Right.
utility trailer.
Not a
just-
motor vehicle, but
No.
it is a trailer.
Just so it doesn't rot outside and look bad.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? from board
But
members?
that's also a point, it's better to have that stuff inside than
Right.
hanging around outside.
All right, so is anyone here to speak for or against the request from Michael Viglotti, 284 Hosner Mountain Road, Stormville, requesting a 25-foot front line variance for a proposed 12-foot by 24-foot shed to be located in front of the rear line of his house? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And
Okay, this is appeal number 3760, applicant Michael Vigliotti, for a 25-foot front line variance for a proposed 12-foot by 24-foot shed to be located in front of the rear line of the house pursuant to section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance, located at 284 Hosner Mountain Road, Stormville, New York. Resolution offered by zoning board member Barbara Barosa. Whereas the applicant has applied for a 25-foot front line variance for a proposed 12-foot by 24-foot shed to be located in front of the rear line of the house. And whereas this action is a type 2 action under seeker and no further action is required. And whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on October 28, 2015. And whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on November 10, 2015. And whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to the community. The desired result cannot be achieved by some other means, as this is a very steep lot and the rear of the lot is heavily wooded as well. The variance requested is not substantial. The proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request by Michael Vigliotti, 284 Hosner Mountain Road, Stormville, for a 25-foot front line variance for a proposed 12-foot by 24-foot shed to be located in front of the rear line of the house pursuant to section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Votes as follows. Jim?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
And I myself, so you're all set.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good evening. Pam, did we notice item number 9 yet? Krakow?
Yes.
We did, so do we have to open?
We
They
did
requested
last-
an adjournment. Did we notice it for this evening?
Yes.
Okay, and we're going to open and then, we'll get to this. One second, I'm sorry, let me just sign this list. The town meeting for East Fishkill. Ooh, you don't get any extra points. All right.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, let's just
Trying to catch
double.
up to you.
For tonight, yes.
Okay, so item number 9, Appeal 3754 Krakow, Edward and Catherine Krakow, 18 Leonard Place, Hopewell Junction, are requesting a 19-foot sideline variance for a proposed 24-foot by 34-foot carport/garage and a 46-foot square foot size variance. Carport is 816 square feet and footprint of existing house is 1152. Pursuant to section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, are there any neighbors for this request? Because the applicants have specifically requested that we adjourn this until next meeting, but if you are here, I will take any comments. But seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn this to next month?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, so we'll have that one next month. Item number 10, Appeal 3763, Limatone, Rocco M. Limatone, 16 Warren Farm Road, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 6-foot rear line variance for a proposed 16-foot by 25-foot 3-season room, a 5-foot rear line variance for an existing pool, an 18-foot rear line variance for existing pool utilities, a 9-foot rear line variance for an existing patio, and a 19-foot sideline variance for an existing 10-foot by 10-foot shed pursuant to Sections 194-17, 194-95, 194-93, and 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, it sounds like there's a lot going on at your property, but we did review this last month, and the good news is you did not do most of this stuff. I do need to clarify, though, I think I understand from one of your neighbors that you did actually install the shed.
Yes.
Okay, because I don't want it represented that you didn't put any of this in.
No, the shed I did.
And I believe your neighbor expressed some concern about the location of the shed when it was going up, that she thought it was going a little too close to your property line.
I don't know, I spoke to him about it.
Okay,
Didn't say anything to me about it.
okay. Well, she said she was going to meet with you this past weekend, so,
I spoke with Mr. Nardone yesterday.
okay.
And? Still not expressing any concern?
No.
Okay.
He asked how far it was, I said 15.4. He said, oh, okay.
We had questions on the distances.
Okay.
Because it worked
Yeah.
on the survey.
Because we did get a new survey, which is how some of that's one of the things we asked for was could we did within a couple days since you had just
Yes.
gotten a survey
Yes.
done, he did get the information into us, so Pam and Jean were able to get the appropriate distances based on the actual survey with the actual sizes on it. The only thing that actually wasn't marked was the size of the shed, but you had represented that the shed was a 10-foot by 10-foot
yeah.
shed. But otherwise, the distances were marked. Pam, were there extra copies of that survey, or no? The new survey? So again, you're looking to do the 3-season room now. That's not already existing. For that, you need the 6-foot variance for from the rear line.
Right, there's a deck there, and I'm building on the deck.
Right. And
And then all that other stuff came into play.
But, right, so the pool was existing, the patio was existing. There's something about the fence, was the fence over your property line?
Nope,
No?
it
Okay.
was right on it.
How tall is it?
4 feet.
So it's really the shed on the side there. There's no foundation to the shed? Can the shed be moved?
The problem is, my property goes down
Okay.
towards Nardone's and towards that's all empty lot there, where it is.
Okay.
That's 7 acres of emptiness that they can't build on. It goes down, so I have it at the bottom. If I moved it up, it'd be on a hill. If I moved it forward or anywhere else, it would be on a hill. So there was a natural area there where it sloped down,
Okay.
so...
Do they visually see that, do they see the shed?
Well, there's trees there. There's 4 pine trees. He sees as much of the shed as I see of his fence and his shed, let's put it that way.
Okay.
It's
I don't know the location of
yeah,
the shed.
there's trees there. There's
Okay.
trees there, and there's all weeds and shrubage because it's an empty lot.
Okay.
So everything's just overgrown forestry.
Which is the empty lot? Next to you?
Yes.
The others,
Yeah, that's all,
as
that's
you're coming in your driveway, the lot to the right?
lots to the right. That's all empty all the way to the corner.
Okay.
You're saying it can't be built on?
I'm sorry?
You're saying it's not buildable?
That's from what I understood.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Why is that? Because of a restrictive covenant or because of an easement or?
No, from what I understand, and you guys probably know more about it than I do, something about with the water, they couldn't get Board of Health clearance, and that property's been empty for a long time. I don't really know
Yeah.
all the specifics of it. It's just what I heard.
So theirs comes over.
Yeah, it's all just overgrown woods and weeds and
Here's the-
stuff like that. What's nice is the only time that my neighbor and I can even see each other is in the winter, when the leaves are gone. Otherwise, we don't even know each other exist.
Okay. Yeah, they were not what was expressed to me was not a concern about the pool. They knew that
Yeah.
had been there, and you had not installed that. It was, the only thing they raised an issue about was the shed.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, his shed is right there also, on his side.
it's not showing up on the survey, so
Yeah, no.
I can't speak to that. Okay. Any comments or questions from board members?
Between the back of your patio and the fence, do you have any vegetation in there? I mean, it's a small area between.
It's a small area. And there's all woods and stuff behind that anyway. It's all woods and trees, and it's like
Swing set's not there anymore.
parkland, whatever you want to call it.
Well, actually, that's that's their property back
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Their lot goes on a very strange angle back there.
Yeah, from what I understand, they had to redraw the lines at one point when they were when they put everything in because of where the water was. I don't know.
Probably get a big
That was
enough
before
lot.
my time.
Probably to get a big enough lot, they needed some property. Yeah.
All right. Any other comments or questions from board members?
Yeah, I'm very meticulous with my property. It's like,
Okay. No, really, no concern was expressed other than
Okay.
she thought it was a little close, okay? So, and I did encourage her to put, if she had concerns, she said she was going to speak to you this weekend, and if she had any concerns, I encouraged her to put it in writing, so.
yeah, I went by there twice this weekend to talk to them. They weren't home, and then I called Frank yesterday, actually, just to make sure we were cool with everything. He said, yeah.
Okay, no problem.
You cool?
I'm sorry?
Are you cool?
We're cool. I'm always cool.
Is there anyone here to speak for or against the request from Rocco Limatone, 16 Warren Farm Road, requesting a 6-foot rear line variance for a proposed 16-foot by 25-foot three-season room, a 5-foot rear line variance for an existing pool, an 18-foot rear line variance for an existing pool utilities, a 9-foot rear line variance for an existing patio, and a 19-foot sideline variance for an existing 10-foot by 10-foot shed? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And
Appeal number 3763, Rocco Limatone, looking for a 6-foot rear line variance for a proposed 16-foot by 25-foot three-season room, a 5-foot rear line variance for an existing pool, an 18-foot rear line variance for an existing pool utility, for existing pool utilities, a 9-foot rear line variance for an existing patio, and a 19-foot sideline variance for an existing 10-foot by 10-foot shed pursuant to sections 194-17, 194-93, and 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Location is 16 Warren Farm Road in Hopewell Junction. Resolution offered by Mary Seminary. Whereas the applicant has applied for a 6-foot rear line variance for a proposed 16-foot by 25-foot three-season room, a 5-foot rear line variance for an existing pool, an 18-foot rear line variance for existing pool utilities, a 9-foot rear line variance for an existing patio, and a 19-foot sideline variance for an existing 10-foot by 10-foot shed. And whereas this action is a Type 2 action under seeker, and no further action is required, and whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on October 28, 2015, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on November 10, 2015, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to the community as the pool utilities, patio, and shed in the patio were existing when the applicant purchased the property, and the proposed three-season room will be on an existing deck.
Correct.
The desired result cannot be achieved by some other means as the structures are existing, except for the shed, I guess. The requested variance is not substantial. The proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions as they are already existing. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request by Rocco M. Limatone, 16 Warren Farm Road, Hopewell Junction, who is requesting a 6-foot rear line variance for a proposed 16-foot by 25-foot three-season room, a 5-foot rear line variance for an existing pool, an 18-foot rear line variance for existing pool utilities, a 9-foot rear line variance for an existing patio, and a 19-foot sideline variance for an existing 10-foot by 10-foot shed pursuant to sections 194-17, 194-95, 194-93, and 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant/owner.
Second. Second. Votes as follows, Jim?
Aye.
Barbara? Aye. Mary?
Aye.
And myself, aye. So your motion carries, you're all set.
So what do I do now? I don't know anything.
Just go to the building department for your building permit.
To the contractor.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. All right, if you don't mind, pass this down to Pam so she can restore the file. All right, in our last public hearing for the evening, item number 11, Appeal 3765 Hanson, Gary Hanson, 118 Woodcrest Drive, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 15-foot sideline and a 13-foot rear line variance for an existing 10-foot by 12-foot shed pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good evening.
Good evening.
One of the first issues I want to clear up is that we were questioning whether your patio
I had
had
a raised,
size or not, yes, and Mary did confirm for me that she did go out there, she did confirm that when it was issued its CO, it was...
How it is right now.
It is how it is now, so you're all covered on that. That's not an
Thank you.
outstanding issue. But again, to just inform the other board members. So you did admit that many, many years ago, I think like 18 years ago, how far?
about 22 years ago.
Yeah, so quite a long time ago, that you did put up a shed.
The neighbor had told me, just say 5 feet from the line and you'll be fine. And
Right, so...
he eventually wound up having to deal with his.
Okay, well, that's fine, so... But your neighbors haven't objected. At this point, you're just looking to clean up what's there.
Yeah, I'm not planning on moving anywhere soon, but I just
and-
figured, I'm here voluntarily, no one's complained. I just figured do it now.
What's the base of the shed? Again?
It's on cinder blocks.
Okay, and its condition to be able to move it, or another location on your yard to actually be able to move it to, is limited?
Of course, anything could be moved. I mean, my house could be moved if I wanted to.
Well-
But the shed, I mean, there's rocks, there's trees, there's the well. It's just the most logical place, to put it other than the middle of the yard.
Okay. All right, so any questions from board members? Seeing none, is there anyone here to speak for or against the request from Gary Hanson, 118 Woodcrest Drive, requesting a 15-foot sideline variance and a 13-foot rear line variance for an existing 10-foot by 12-foot shed? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And
In reference to appeal number 3765 by the applicant Gary Hanson, seeking a 15-foot sideline and 13-foot rear line variance for an existing 10-foot by 12-foot shed pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance, located at 118 Woodcrest Drive, Hopewell Junction. Resolution being offered by zoning board member James Meyer. And whereas the applicant has applied for a 15-foot sideline and 13-foot rear line variance for an existing 12-foot by 10-foot shed, and whereas this action is a type 2 action under SEQA and no further action is required, whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on October 28, 2015, and whereas the zoning board of appeals held a public hearing on November 10, 2015, whereas the zoning board of appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to the community as the shed is already existing. The desired result cannot be achieved by some other means as there are mature trees and rocks on the flat area of the property. The variance requested is not substantial. The proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions as is already existing. Now therefore, be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals hereby approves the request by Gary Hanson, 118 Woodcrest Drive, Hopewell Junction, for a 15-foot sideline and 13-foot rear line variance for the existing 12-foot by 10-foot shed pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows, Jim?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
And myself, aye. So your motion carries, you're all set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, have a good evening.
You too.
All right, so that's the last of our public hearings. So there's no other opportunity this evening for public comment. But we're now going to get to the reviews. So again, the idea is for us to work through any issues on your applications so that the public hearings can be as smooth as possible. So with that being said, item number 12, Appeal 3731, Joseph Kenna, 538 Hosner Mountain Road, Stormville, is requesting a 21-foot rear line variance for an existing in-ground pool and a 45-foot rear line variance for a proposed 34-foot by 22-foot detached garage pursuant to sections 194-95 and 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. I'm not seeing Mr. Kenna. Okay, just to give a quick update, Mr. Kenna has been through the planning board. They did approve a lot line realignment, so that addressed some of his variance need, but not all. It just reduced the amount of variance that he needed. If you remember, his patio was actually going over his neighbor's property. He needs to come in and amend his application because I don't believe these numbers are now accurate based on the lot line realignment approved by the planning board. So I think we should direct the clerk with a motion by the board. Should we direct the clerk to send in a letter to get his attention to the fact that he's not done?
Well, so the lot line took care of the pool?
No,
But not the
not completely.
Oh,
It
but-
reduced the variance distance, but it did not take care of it completely. The neighbor was willing to work with him
So
for
the
a
pool still
certain
needs a
distance.
variance too.
Right.
I thought- Based on what you're saying, I didn't know whether maybe he was just going to take up some of his patio if the pool met the requirements, so.
No, the neighbor
Yeah.
cooperated to a certain extent, and
Okay.
they were able to do, I don't know, ultimately, I don't know what the result was, but I just heard it wasn't completely, it didn't eliminate the need for a variance.
So then I would move to respect the request that Ms. Bear send a letter to the applicant.
To remind him to keep this going,
Yes.
Second.
and to amend his application. All in favor? Aye. All right, so no show and Pam to send letter. All right, so hopefully, I think this one's been hanging around for probably close to 2 years now. So hopefully we'll get this done. All right, item number 13, Appeal 3762, Catalano. This applicant is actually requesting an adjournment until our January meeting, so we're not even going to discuss this evening because it's not advertised for a public hearing. Item number 14, Appeal 3764, Cosden. Arthur Cosden, 7 Pellbridge Drive, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 6-foot sideline variance for an existing carport pursuant to Section 194-17 of the zoning ordinance. There's not many of you left here, based on the number of items still on our agenda. So, going once for Mr. Cosden.
He didn't come last month either.
No, and he called the next day and said he
Okay, do I have a motion to direct the clerk once again to send a letter, since this is a second no-show, to the applicant directing him to appear, or his application will be considered abandoned?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, which leads us to the last two couples in the room. Item number 15, Appeal 3766, Peterson, Bruce Peterson Jr., 123 Grace Road, Wappingers Falls, is requesting a 4-foot front line variance for a pre-existing non-conforming house which was built in 1960, a 12-foot sideline variance for an existing 14-foot by 24-foot and 8-foot by 8-foot sheds, pursuant to sections 194-121 and 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so if you don't mind, this is the first we're seeing your application, if you could just walk us through.
Okay.
Obviously, your house is pre-existing.
Right.
I don't think either one of you were living there or had it built in 1960. You don't look old enough, so I'm assuming you built it in its current location, so we're
Right.
not going to worry about that. So if you could just, how about the sheds? Did you put those up, or were
The
they?
8x8 shed was there when I bought the house 20 years ago.
Okay.
And the 14 by 24 I put up about 12 years ago, built on site.
Okay. So the 8-foot by 8-foot's been there for more than 20 years
Since I bought it, yeah.
by previous owner. Okay, and the 14 by 24, why is it in the current location? Why did,
Because it's at the back end of the property, and the property that's adjoining is all, it's wooded between our properties. There's probably 50, 75 feet till you get to the other property's back of the house. Or
okay, so
more.
you have a very long lot. You
Long
have a
and
very
narrow.
very long driveway that leads to a garage all the way in the back there.
Right,
And that's the, no, that's not the building we're talking about. We're talking about the shed
The
that's
shed.
past
All the
that.
way in the corner.
In the
Yeah,
corner.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you have a really weird shaped lot.
If I were to
Wow.
move that shed up, it would be like in the middle of the driveway to get in the back of the
I mean,
garage.
you literally have a V coming
Yeah, yeah.
at you from
It's
the
like a
back
boot.
of your
Yeah.
property line. That's, okay, well, makes me wonder what the lot on the other side looks like. All right, so we do have an aerial here, so when we see, we can, it's definitely, you're surrounded by woods.
Right, in the summer, you can't even see any houses.
Yeah, I mean, all of your neighbors,
Yeah, where the-
particularly to your right, their
where the
backyards
lawn-
are all,
yeah.
Yeah, we're in the back corner.
yeah. What's the color of it? How big is it? It's only 1 story, 1.5
It's-
stories?
yeah.
The
If
shed,
you want to
yeah.
see a picture, I can get it on my phone.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
just
please, that would
natural
be helpful.
stain. Asphalt roof.
Okay, and what's stored in there?
Just junk. It's so I don't
Stuff
have
that
it all
doesn't
up.
belong out in your yard, right?
Right.
That your neighbors might object to.
That and tools and stuff.
Okay. That's okay.
This was taken right after it was done.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's all the way, and if you can see, it's in the summertime, it's all completely surrounded by trees and no one else can see it. I mean,
There's some kind of vehicle in there?
No, that's
No.
a four-wheeler.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That you don't drive on your
No.
property, of course.
Because,
Okay. I know you're surrounded by woods, but,
All right.
four-wheelers are not allowed to be driven in town, so. All right, questions or comments from board members? This other shed in the front, what condition is it in? Can it be taken down, or is it still being used?
No, I use it for shovels,
I mean, it's
rakes.
been there for more than 20 years, I just wonder what condition it's in.
Well,
We
I've rebuilt
rebuilt
it.
Like, we've
Oh, you
repainted
rebuilt
it, we
it.
keep
Okay.
it up, we keep it,
Okay,
Rebuilt or maintained?
it maintained.
Maintained.
Okay.
Meaning, yeah.
and what's up with the hot tub and patio?
We don't even have that.
We don't have that no more.
Do you know when your survey was done?
When I had the addition put on the house,
Okay.
which is 7 years now, I think.
So,
Mary, what is this about a fence?
Yeah, there's a fence on the property, but
is the fence yours, or is it your neighbor?
It's mine, but it's on my side of my property, which you can see in the,
Stockade fence, it's showing it's on the property line.
it's on my side a couple
How
inches
tall
or
is the
something.
fence, though?
5 foot?
Does it go 5 feet in front of the house?
It's not
No.
even in front of the house, it's in the
No,
backyard.
it's-
I'm seeing, it's, okay, where does,
If you
so
look
where
at
does
the
it
side of the
start?
house, it goes about halfway to the blacktop side.
Come on up here for 1 second if you don't.
in there.
The fence?
Yeah.
Can I ask you to just come
Oh.
up and point it out on the survey,
Sure.
how far forward it comes, that's all.
Been there probably for 15 years.
Yeah, it was,
If you see,
like,
it's
yeah, not too
labeled
long after we bought
stockade
the
fence.
Yes, this is the house, and the fence stops about halfway of the house, which would be right there.
Okay, so it does come in front of the rear line of the house?
Yes, it
All right,
stops
and
about,
it's 5 feet, so it's more than 4 feet.
yes,
All right, then we do have to deal with that then.
okay.
Because you're only allowed 4 feet in front of the rear line of your house.
Okay.
So
and you're a little bit in front.
It's probably maybe about 8 feet or 10 feet.
is there a panel that you can take down?
Yes, I can take an 8-foot panel.
All right, and then we don't have to deal with it. And
Right.
we just
If I took the 8-foot panel out, it would probably be beyond the back of the house.
Beyond
if
the
you're
rear
saying.
line of the
Yeah.
house, that's
'Cause I
what
actually
we-
added
Oh,
that
I
piece
got
on maybe about 5 years
Front of
ago,
the rear line.
just for
sounds like-
privacy.
Okay. Well, I can see when you had the hot tub there, it would make sense
Right.
to have the
But
fence there.
where the hot
frankly.
tub is not beyond the house. So I just
Right,
added another section.
that's in your backyard, no
Right.
question. So, yeah, so if you can take down the one panel and get you in compliance, we don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, that can come down easy enough.
All right, and so is there a pool or a terrace, I'm sorry, patio or a terrace still there?
The decks, yeah.
Okay, how far off the ground is it?
They're on the ground.
In a bed
They're-
of gravel.
They're literally on the ground. It's on the ground.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
on,
wood.
so the wood is on the ground?
It's on gravel, on the ground. It's not a deck like where you would think you have to step onto it. It's
Yeah.
literally, because our house is on a slab,
Okay.
so there is no back steps. You literally walk out and it's like walking on here. It's literally on the ground.
Okay.
We just did it because.
No
of all the-
railings, no posts, none of that.
And how close is that to your
Just like-
property line?
So it's like a wooden patio.
Basically, that's what it is.
The
because
back of the
it-
house, there's 2 doors, you got 2 patios existing, and you walk out onto them.
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause
Do
we
they
would-
extend beyond the house toward your property line?
They're 16 by 16s, yeah.
What I'm saying is, does it go to the edge of the house, or does it extend beyond the edge of the house, the side
No,
of
it
your
doesn't go
house?
to the front of the house.
No, but past the side of your house, toward your side yard there.
Yeah, they come out from the back of the
They-
house.
Okay.
How close to the property line?
Oh, that part of the property line?
It's
Your
probably-
side, your neighbor
probably
who's on your
10
side.
Where the neighbor's backyard is, I see
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Well, it's that fence that you see where the spa is.
Yeah.
It's on our side.
It's on our side, the patio near that fence. So it's probably 10 feet from their property, I guess.
All right, that's what we got to deal with. It should be 15 feet. That's what we're just trying to
Okay.
get to.
Again, they've been there for almost as long as I lived there.
Okay.
3 years after I moved in, we put them in because
And they're
it just
like-
was all
they're
gravel.
If they're flush with the ground,
What
nobody's...
it was
They're-
is we had dirt, basically, and I was tired of the mud becoming the
Right,
house.
right.
So we just put them literally on the ground.
We put a bed of gravel and then 4x4s embedded in that, and then decking,
Okay.
pressure treat it.
But it's less than 15 feet, it sounds like, so we
Yeah,
have to deal with it.
probably to the,
Probably a lot more, because if you look at the shed,
it may be more,
shed is like 3.7 feet.
but I
So I
believe
would
the
imagine
property
it's
starts
probably-
getting wider towards, when it goes to the front.
To the front, okay.
The pipelines
Yeah, your
go
house
wider.
is, your
It
house
gets
is...
wider as the back,
And there's woods in
Oh, so
between
wait,
that,
yeah, I can't tell where the wood deck ends.
right next to that fence on my side.
Oh, all right, so it does go all the way over.
It's probably a few inches in front of the fence, it's butted right up almost.
So how are we going to measure how much of a variance do you need?
I would grant a 10-foot just to be safe. 'cause it
Okay,
looks like it's
because the
on
shed is the,
side.
we'll go by the shed as the 3.7,
It's actually,
and it's further away than the shed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And the property beyond that fence starts sloping way down, it's a hill.
it's a drop-off.
It's a
little bit.
drop-off, because their house is the bottom house on the corner.
okay.
We're all like staggered, so everybody's above us, then there's our long lot, and then on the next side of us is all the individual houses, but they're all down below us.
And they have a shed there that's
Yeah.
probably too close to my property.
If these lot lines on the aerial are accurate, then that fence is significantly in from the property line. Pam, do we don't have any sense of how accurate these lines are?
They're not 100%.
They're not, okay. Yeah, that's what I worry about,
Well,
because,
they're not, because look at the survey showing the rear of the house from the left side, 27.
yeah, that's true. Okay, all right, they're shifted over.
We guessed.
Surveys, yeah.
Because then actually, you're right, your driveway wouldn't even be on your lot. All right, never mind. Let's not use that as our basis. Let's go back to the
Oh,
survey.
yeah, don't go by the front door. No.
All right, let's go. But wait a
The hot
second.
tub also would need a...
No, they don't.
We don't have that.
That's gone now.
Yeah.
That's been gone before the addition.
And what
That
about
was a
the-
wishful thinking thing.
It shows a gate across your one driveway?
Yes.
How tall is that?
here.
It's just a cattle gate. In case everybody thinks our
Because
driveway
my
is the
driveway
road.
is so long, people were driving down it at night, so I put a gate across with a do not enter sign.
Okay.
Thought they were running on the road, huh?
Yes,
Yes.
a lot of people think
When you
it's a
come
road.
Grace Road, my driveway, the main driveway just goes straight, and it looks like a road, because you can't see my garage, and the shed, which is
got
so
it.
far at
If
the
they're
back.
going-
happens
If they're
when you
going
have a
around that
lump.
curve, got it. Okay.
Your drive actually goes around and makes a loop and goes back?
That's how we blacktopped
We
it.
can make a loop, yeah, right around.
All right, so we
That's a
should
lot of
add on
blacktop.
here a 10-foot
Yeah.
variance for a wood patio. Do you know what the measurements of your patio are?
There's 3 16 by 16 decks. There's a door off the back
Are
of
they
the
not
house.
connected?
They're next to each other, two off the back of the house.
Yeah.
Okay, with the length of the house.
And
Okay.
the other one was built for the spa, which you're talking about with the fence is
Okay.
16 by 16.
That's the one that we need the variance for. So
The
it's six-
odd one, the one on the
16
side.
so
by
it's 16
16.
by 16.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Let me ask, do you still want to keep that?
Oh, yes.
it's
We
my
use that for our
barbecue's
grill
That's
is
where I
there.
put my picnic table.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, just...
There's no
Well, the hot
permanent
tub's gone,
structures
so
on
maybe
it.
you
No,
didn't
no,
use
no, it's just patio because like I said, when we bought the house, everything was all dirt.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I was like, well, I want something. Instead of building concrete, that was the cheapest
And
way
we
to
got
go,
the
was wood.
spa. It's been there a long time. It rotted out, so I just chopped it up and got rid of it. We never used it much.
Okay. All right, so we'll go with a 10-foot variance for the 16-foot by 16-foot wood patio. Okay. Anything else on? Mary, you are all set
Well,
otherwise?
they had 2 canvas things that are only allowed to be there temporary, 180 days,
Okay.
and I don't know how long they've been there.
You have 2 canvas tents?
Yeah, they just go up for the summer.
That's fine if they take.
On the side of the house where you're talking with
Yeah,
that,
they-
I
it's
have to
just to
take a
protect
fence?
the car for
That's
the
just for
summer.
the car for the summer.
And the other
Okay.
one, yeah.
So if I drove
And the
by
other
now,
one-
I'm not going to
Well,
see
right
it?
now it's up because I haven't taken it down. I'll be taking it down because it's going to snow.
And then there's
Okay.
one in the back for where the dog goes.
It's his.
But
Does that
only,
stay up year-round? or-
No, it can't. It does not snow
Because they're not
bearing.
snow, yeah. We tried one time, which was a bad thing. It
Okay.
went down the first snowstorm.
I take the canvas
Yeah, they
off,
can't
but
take
I
the
leave
weight
the
of it.
pipes.
No,
Yeah.
those are those cheap, those Shelter Logic tents.
all right, so they're temporary.
Temporary.
Yeah,
The
they-
one in the front, I actually take the
Just
pipes away,
limit
but
how
the
long
dog
they're
one
up
I
there
don't.
to 6 months at a time.
Yeah, that's all they are, is up for the summer, just, to keep the pollen and stuff off the car.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right, Mary, anything else?
No.
Okay. Motion to schedule for public hearing?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. All right, Pam will give you your instructions for your sign. Okay, you have to put a sign on the front of your
Okay.
property.
Okay.
And then we'll see you next month.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Maybe I got...
Sorry, Pam's at the end. Pam needs a sign.
All right.
Maybe I got
If you want to come in to read
can get it
up the
now.
application,
not important enough.
you'll
Okay.
come back in
All right,
Thursday.
item number 16, Appeal
Proposed
3767,
Okay,
Scott.
I can't come during the day. We're working in Connecticut, so
Okay.
I leave.
22 Allen Way, Stormville is requesting a 4-foot rear line variance for an existing 10-foot by 12-foot deck for which a certificate of compliance was issued in 2005.
Okay. If not, I got my wallet in the car if you don't.
All right.
Maybe we're taking a 10-second payment.
Yeah, let me. All right, and a 17-foot rear line variance for an existing 16-foot by 24-foot covered timber pile, which has been there since 1996, pursuant to sections 194-17 and 194-107 of the zoning code. He is also requesting an interpretation of section 194-52, parking of recreational vehicles in a residential zone. All right, let's start from the beginning here. So you need, again, this is the first time we're seeing your application, so let's start from the beginning. You have an existing 10-foot by 12-foot deck
Yes.
that needs a rear line variance, but a CC was issued.
Yeah, I wasn't really aware that it was, we hired someone, a contractor, to build the deck, so
Okay.
I had nothing to do with it.
Okay.
And
How long, so that's been there since 2000, well, the certificate of compliance was issued in 2005, so that's been there for 10 years.
Yeah.
Any of your neighbors objected to it?
No.
Is it visible to your neighbors?
One neighbor.
One neighbor only. Well, actually, maybe 2, but you'd have to look through the woods, so that,
Is it
depending on...
attached to your house, or is it
It's
free?
attached to the house.
Okay.
Yeah, directly attached to the house.
Okay. And then, so the next thing is a 17-foot rear line variance for an existing 16-foot by 24-foot covered timber pile, which has been there since 1996. Are we talking a wood pile?
No, it is not firewood.
Okay.
What happened was
Oh,
several...
this is your, like, building materials or something.
Well,
You know, they're technically not building materials because they're not sanctioned or approved by any woodworking society or
he did it
engineer.
himself.
Okay, then
In
explain
other words,
what it is.
there's no stamps on them like you would buy at your Home Depot or Lowe's or
No,
whatever.
I understand, but you're...
Yeah, these were trees big oak trees that are probably about 2 feet in diameter that several years ago, we had saturating rain for several days and then some high winds, and several trees in my backyard just fell over, as well as in my neighbor's yard off of Healy Lane. He gave me a couple trees, and these other trees that had been blown down, they're perfectly straight, beautiful red oak trees, you know. And to me, I've been a woodworker most of my life. It's a hobby. And I just can't see having trees like that that are nice straight grain cut up and burned in a firewood just to generate some heat. So I took it upon myself to...
That's going to drop.
All right, I took it upon myself to get some equipment. I hauled out all these trees from the back section of my property.
Okay.
And then I milled them up with a chainsaw mill to make them into all square beams. I tried to maximize the most amount of wood I could get out of any round, circular section. And then I put these timbers on a temporary frame that I covered with tarps. It's the 16 by 24 thing that's mentioned in
A-frame.
the A-frame. The size of it's dictated by some of the timbers were 24-foot long. These are big trees. And nonetheless, so this whole issue with this being a shed, it really is no shed. It has no permanent foundation. It's sitting on the ground. It's sitting basically on pressure-treated 6x8 timbers. And the wood was arranged over that, and then a cover was put over it. It's got a 12 pitch, 45 degrees slope, and that's for water and snow to drain off of
He
it.
keeps it well maintained.
And it's
I
been
mean,
maintained. I replace the tarps on it every couple of years. Depending on the weather, I usually get 2 to 3 years out of them, but if it's bad winter, like last winter,
If you're maintaining it for years, it's either a shed, it's a structure of some
Right.
sort, regardless of what it's made of. You're allowed temporary structures, as we indicated in the previous matter, that up
But
to 6 months.
it's not a structure. It has no doors.
Is it based on the ground?
It's on the ground.
It's supported from the ground, it's a structure.
Oh, it's not on a foundation.
Doesn't matter.
No
It's like a
foundation,
structure.
no doors, no windows, no...
Place has a structure.
Yeah, a place has
Huh?
a structure.
What's the difference then, say if I had my own firewood covered up with a similar arrangement, tarp in my backyard, that would be,
And
what's the difference between doing that?
if you make a structure, it's a structure. If you have a tarp that's laying on the ground, I'm not sure. We'd have to see exactly what's going
Well,
on.
it's not on the ground.
But,
Right.
but that's the point. It's not on the ground. You've created something. You've made something. Are you denying it has a frame? Are you denying it has a roof?
No.
No,
it
I'm not
doesn't-
saying that.
What would
It
you
has a
call it?
skeletal structure. It has
Yeah.
no...
Yeah, it has a
Structure.
structure.
It has no...
Okay, but it's been there for almost 20 years. What's the purpose of it?
The purpose is to keep the wood. I was wanted to build a barn on part of my property, but our property is so irregular in shape that I couldn't meet any of the variances to even put up, a small barn or garage or whatever I wanted to do. So I just put the wood in storage where it's been for many years now. It's air-dried, red oak, all hardwood, straight grain, beautiful wood.
It weighs
tons.
tons.
It's not like...
At the time, he had like a front loader, and he could use that to pull the timbers up and set them down.
And we thought that we would be building this barn, the Poston Bean barn, that was his, dream. But what happened is that doing all this heavy timbering, he wrecked his back. He's had about 4 or 5 back surgeries, and we got rid of the front loader, and there's no way to move it without bringing in like cranes and stuff. What we wanted to do is that we're getting to the point, we're retired now, and we're getting killed by, living up here. So we're going to be moving probably within a year or so, and we're going to take the wood with us.
Okay.
And take all those parts up, and we'll just take that with us.
We live on a cul-de-sac there's like nine homes on houses on the cul-de-sac. And that structure, like the paperwork says, has been in place since 1996. No one at all has ever complained about it. I've always maintained it to be looking neat in appearance, and the only thing that questions I might say, well, what do you got in there? I'll say, well, I just have it's my personal wood supply. I can't go to, well, you can go down to Home Depot and you buy a board foot of 1 by 6 by 12 piece of red oak that's all 4-sided plane. It probably costs you $5 a board foot. So I've got timbers that are over 24 foot long.
They're worth thousands of dollars.
To me, they are.
Well,
and
they
there's
are.
nothing. They've been perfectly. They're air dried. It's air dried timber is what it is, and.
Well, that's what I thought you were going to say, that you were sort of letting them air dry, kiln dry in this thing that you made.
Yeah, that's all.
That's called the log bunk on your plan here? Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah. That's why I said I don't think it's really much different if I covered my firewood pile with a similar structure.
As he says, we live in a cul-de-sac. If you come up the street, our house, the way it's located, you don't even see it until you get past our house, and then you can see it.
So
It's set behind
what's the
us.
issue that we're faced with here? The fact there's no building permit or something?
I
It's a
considered it a
structure.
temporary structure that would have had to be removed.
Okay.
How
Because
tall
this is what you have to decide. Either it's a temporary structure, which you can only keep up for 6 months, or you have to get a building permit on it. And because, look at it from the town's
But he
point of
needs the
view.
variance.
Well, if he needs the variance for it, well, I'm not showing, I can't read it, it's too small as far it is from the property line. Is that just 24 feet or 30 foot?
He needs a 17-foot rear line variance.
Okay. So either it's got to be taken down or you got to go through proper procedures. Because you understand, you probably built it very nice, it's been there for a long time, but.
Well, that's what
you have to
Scott
meet-
Bryant said, the town engineer. If this thing had survived the last 2 winters, it's built
But it's got
well.
to be built to a certain code, and we've got to make sure it's built.
But that's why I never expected I would need a permit to build something that was temporary.
But it's been there for
But it's not
19
temporary.
years.
Yes.
It's not temporary.
It's not so
And it would probably be there for
temporary.
another 19 years if nobody
It's
had
not
said
temporary.
anything, so I don't understand.
Well, then he needs a
Well,
permit.
a lot of people do things they're not supposed to do, and they don't get caught.
Yeah,
It's
but
not a
nobody
problem.
complained about it.
Well, it's an issue now.
Why are you here then?
Why am I here? Because my neighbor,
Settle down.
my
Somebody brought
neighbor
it to our attention.
Yes.
called
He
into
got mad.
called into the town that I've had a bulldozer, the front loader that she called,
Right.
that I use for moving these timbers around that I've had on my property since 1991. All of a sudden, when I told him of my plans that I was going to
Move things around.
move things around, and I was either
Not the log bunk.
no, just the bulldozer. It hadn't run in 2 years. I needed to utilize that space for something else. So I told my neighbor, hey, I got this bulldozer. I'm going to try to sell it. It's actually an antique. I'm going to try to sell it. Or if I can't get anyone to buy it, I'm going to scrap it out to a metal supply scrap house. And I said, it's probably going to take about a month. So it hasn't run. The thing weighs like 7.5 tons, and it was in the edge of my property in the woods, basically, on the edge of the woods. And so it took me some time. The original...
To make it quick, it's late, is that the neighbor was mad at something else and came out and started yelling at my husband, and wasn't even paying attention. I don't know. He seemed to be in a really upset.
The whole thing stemmed from like if there was a poster character person for...
All right.
No, we're not going to do that. No.
I was going to say cabin fever, period.
All right, let's
That's it.
stop.
Okay.
Let's look at the complaint that I had gotten. I gave it to you guys in the packet.
But that's how this whole thing got initiated.
Well, see, that's not the point. And look, I appreciate what you've done with the laws and stuff. I got a brother who has taken trees down, cuts them with a chainsaw mill, kills them, dries them, and he's made beautiful furniture out of it.
Sure.
I understand people doing that.
Well, he has
But
used
at the other hand, just because the town doesn't always catch what people are doing, doesn't mean you don't have to follow town law.
We didn't even
We
realize.
weren't aware of it.
Well, that's fine, but now you're here, and we have to address the issue. That's what
Okay.
the bottom line is. Without going to what other people have or haven't done.
And understanding that a variance is granted for the property, not just for your single use. So if we grant a variance for this structure, the next owners of this property can do something very similar, and it may never go away. So that's why it's forever a variance, and that's
well-
why we've got to give serious thought as
Sure.
to, does it really make sense?
Well, when we leave, that will leave with us.
It's going with us.
And as far, I don't remember seeing anybody who had like a log bunk like this before. Most people, trees come down, they either leave them in the woods or they, chop them up for firewood.
Okay, and your neighbor actually complained about the tractor trailer on your property, parked 30 feet from their well? That's what they were,
It's not parked.
that's what they're, and then there's a bulldozer buried in the woods behind your house and a box truck in the driveway. So there are multiple issues of vehicles that probably don't necessarily belong there, so, which probably is your third request. Here's the complaint.
We've never seen the complaint.
No, it's for the board to look
Yeah.
at. So you're also requesting an interpretation of section 194-52-1, parking of recreational vehicles in a residential zone. Pam, did you give us a copy of that? The zone, the text?
No. What, of 194.52?
Yeah, so we can see what is, because we got to interpret it, so the board's going to need a copy of that. So what is the issue related to the interpretation?
It's not a recreational vehicle, it is a military collectible truck that I purchased 6 years ago, and I've been working to restore it, and it was parked in my driveway.
Amelia.
And, all right, that's enough.
No, I was just say they were talking, so it didn't make sense.
So it has historic plates?
Yes, it does.
But it's what kind of vehicle is it?
It is a
Cab.
military tactical vehicle. It is a tractor cab, basically, but it is a tactical
And it's for your
vehicle.
personal hobby use as opposed to
Yes, yes.
for employment or anything
Oh,
else?
no.
Is it just a cab? Is there a trailer with it?
I have a trailer
Oh,
with
there's a
it now. I
trailer there
do.
too.
Yeah.
Well, the trailer's
trailer-
in the woods,
Yeah.
where
Something else in the woods.
At the time of the
Yeah.
complaint, it was in the driveway, all
Right.
together as one piece.
Okay.
That was because I
I
had
had
a
to get the
discussion with,
bulldozer out to be
one
able-
has to come out to replace the other, that's all.
So we had to.
So I was temporarily parked there, and I was informing my neighbor of what I was doing, and then he just,
Yeah, so we did.
So are we being asked to interpret parking of commercial vehicles in a
It's
recreation
not a
no,
residential
it's
zone?
not
vehicle.
commercial.
I cited them for a commercial vehicle.
Okay.
It's not a commercial vehicle.
said maybe he could get an interpretation to call it a recreational vehicle instead of a commercial
All
vehicle.
right, but section 194-52.1
Which we saw
is
this morning.
commercial vehicles in residential zone.
Right, we understand that, but this has never been used in its whole
that's the old-
existence as a commercial vehicle.
Yeah.
And
It's the
we
next
don't
code.
use
The
it.
old-
Yeah,
it's
we
the old
don't
code.
use
No,
it.
it's the
I
old.
mean,
There's new 52.1.
Sorry, we just have to get the
Okay,
right code for
sure.
the board to
So-
say.
It's in-
Sorry, I don't,
That's all
I
right.
don't mean
That's
to
it,
be
yeah.
disrespectful, I'm trying to
No, no,
listen
no,
to you,
that-
but
sorry.
we've got to make sure.
We have pictures in our
Application.
application that you could see what it looks like and.
Yeah, that's what.
Commercial vehicles,
And there's pictures of the log bunk too.
Yeah, I see the lawn.
and then this one up here is the recreational vehicles.
Okay.
You should
52.1.
use colored pictures. It's better. I don't see
Yeah, I
any
can't
pictures of the
even-
tractor trailer in there at all.
Scott referred to it as an army tractor trailer.
Pardon?
Are
Scott called it
the
an army
logs
tractor trailer.
completely covered? Because
Yes.
in one picture, it looks like
Jim,
there's
look at the
something behind
support,
it.
this is the,
I can't.
this is a full structure, looking up that, so that's not,
That's my wood pile, but the log bunk is this item.
It's very well made.
So you have wood pile.
all right, sorry.
No, it's in the.
Yeah, these are really hard to see.
Rear property line.
He,
There's pictures of the truck? I didn't.
I think there's a camouflage vehicle tucked in the back of one of those pictures.
There's a wood pile too.
Yeah.
well,
You
that
got it.
wood pile, we haven't used
That
that.
was when we were using wood
We can get rid
burning.
of that if there was any problem with
No,
it.
well, wood
That's-
pile by itself is okay.
Yeah.
That's, again, that's not a structure, that's, you're storing stuff there temporarily. One expects you to be using it in the winter,
Yeah.
so.
Did you find the pictures of the truck? 'Cause
I didn't see it.
Okay, so you're calling this you're calling this vehicle a recreational vehicle?
No, I'm not. I am not.
No, he's
What do
calling
you
it
call it? You're saying
historical.
it's
It is a
it's-
historical military vehicle
But you
that
said
I
it's-
am restoring. It is 43 years old.
But it's a tractor trailer.
But what's the,
It's a
what's
tractor
your
cab.
use of it? Is your use
Yeah,
of
you
it?
said
Mine
it
was
was
for
your hobby.
restoration only. I'm not,
That's,
I,
it's a recreational vehicle.
well, it has, okay, but I think you were trying to imply that I was going to be using it
No,
commercially.
no, I'm trying to use it, I'm trying to interpret what your
Yeah,
request is.
no, it is recreational in the sense that.
It's restoration,
Once it's
yeah.
finished being restored, he's hoping to drive it in like, parades, something like that.
Restoration, because you're not allowed to restore vehicles in commercial zones either. I didn't know it was.
Commercial, residential.
I mean, in residential zones, you can't.
No, you
It's
can't have a
not
body
a
shop.
garage. I mean, it's not
You-
like
you
we're
got- you
running a
can't-
garage.
You can't rebuild an antique car in your house?
Not according to the property maintenance code, no major restoration, it says.
Well,
It's
this is a truck that has tires on it.
The truck is complete. It's operational. You can drive it down the street. It's not like it's a,
So what's the restoration?
the restoration is trying to stop the rust that's already on the truck from 43 years
He's
of age.
redoing the electrical
I'm
and.
redoing the fuel system. I'm going to be patching some small holes in the body that are rusted through over the years that I'm trying to, right now they're prepared to keep everything at bay so it doesn't get any worse. So the truck is always under, I have a camouflage tarp where it's parked in my driveway in the side of my house where it's always covered unless I'm working on it, then I have the cover off.
Okay, so it's in your driveway?
Yes.
On the side of your house. All right,
And
so
that's
let's get to
where you
the,
work on it? You work on it in the driveway?
Yes.
let's get to the interpretation request. This is the code, section of the code that you have asked for an interpretation of. All right, 194-52.1, parking of recreational vehicles in a residential zone. A residential owner of a residential lot is permitted to park one recreational vehicle, such as a trailer, boat, camper, or mobile home, per lot in the rear yard only. Recreational vehicles must meet setbacks. So you're not allowed to park it in your driveway.
Well,
When Scott Bryant came up unexpectedly and, wondered what all the commotion was going on up on Allen Way, which is a pretty quiet street, he said, he talked to me and indicated that, my hobby, okay, is fixing up, restoring a military vehicle. It's no different than someone who might have a 40-foot boat sitting in their backyard. That's my boat. It's just not, doesn't conform to, something that's going to float down the river or whatever. He seemed to indicate that there really wouldn't be any problem with it because it's out of the way.
That's for the trailer part.
Yeah.
The truck,
The trailer, do you use it for your wood?
No.
well,
Anything else?
No, it's just the other part of the
truck.
the military truck.
So again, what part of this code are you asking for an interpretation of? Are you asking for more than one vehicle, or what are you asking for?
No, we didn't even put down an interpretation. I didn't realize that in the original thing.
No, all
So they didn't request the interpretation?
No, I didn't request it.
The town engineer might have had some involvement.
Yeah.
Because he
We just wanted to be able to put it in the
That's what Mary said
driveway,
before.
because
If it's not maybe it's not a commercial vehicle, maybe it's a recreational vehicle.
Right.
If he's
I
using
didn't
it for
say
a
that.
hobby. No,
No.
no, that's what you
No.
said, that Scott was asking.
Right.
yeah, the,
So why would we do an interpretation if they're not asking?
my thing?
Yes. Yeah, I saw that.
we didn't realize, I know that it had said in the letter from the clerk that we hadn't responded. We had called and tried to make an appointment with you, and then after we got the letter, we didn't realize there was any kind, we thought we just went to a judge or something. We really didn't understand the process of all of this. This is a picture, this is the trailer in the side yard.
The
See, our
backyard.
driveway is our one side of our yard. You can actually see the trucks behind this van. Let's see, now I can't even tell myself. There's the truck, it's got the camouflage on it. It's right near
You
the
can't see it as a
garage.
truck.
So the tools for these things are very big and heavy, and he just, to take those and move them all the way to the back, that would be hardship for him.
But it sounds like you've got more than one recreational vehicle if we're going to interpret these to be recreational vehicles because it's your hobby.
Yes.
You're allowed one.
He has the truck, and the trailer is part of the truck, and then we have a car, and we have an old step van.
Okay, what's the box truck?
That's the
step
trailer.
van. That's the step van.
Oh, is that the step van?
The white truck.
The step
Oh,
van.
that's a step van we bought to make into a
I was going to
camper, but they said we had to put windows in it.
and put seats in the back and windows in
there
it.
was- we
They
didn't
wouldn't let me
It's
register
old
it.
bread truck.
So that's not even registered.
Oh, no, it's registered.
registered.
It's registered, though, as a commercial vehicle because it didn't have the windows.
Because motor vehicles would not allow it to be registered as a camper because it didn't fit
Have
their
the-
descriptions that it would need to have side windows and the side panels of the side of the van and need to have seat belts and seats somewhere rear of the drivers that were securely
So
mounted.
now you have a commercial vehicle in your yard, too.
Only, yes.
It has the commercial plates on it, but we don't use it. I
Yeah,
mean,
because the motor vehicles would not allow me to register it
I didn't
as,
cite them for that because the commercial vehicle code says you're allowed one van or panel truck.
Yeah.
Which, it's like a bread truck.
One
type.
commercial
yeah, it was an
for
income.
residential lot not to
Plumber
exceed
truck, right?
16,000 pounds or single axle. It must be registered and owned by the owner of the residence.
It
So I
is.
figured that would be the one commercial vehicle that was permitted. That's why I never cited them for that.
Okay, all right.
So,
So they're allowed to come commercial vehicle and a recreational vehicle.
If you interpret that a tractor trailer is a recreation.
I'm not sure I'm
vehicle.
there yet, but
so have you tried to register the Army vehicle?
It is registered.
They say it has historic plates.
It's registered and insured.
They all are registered and
Yeah.
insured.
Means it's more
Can
than
you drive it
25
on the
years
main
old.
roads? Can you drive it
But
on?
we
Yes.
don't have a code that negates it if it's...
Well, we don't
if it's
drive it, really, it's,
Well, I do
historical.
drive
We
it
don't have
occasionally,
a
but
code
it-
that says you're allowed to have it if it's historical.
What are you looking
There's
for?
nothing
It's
in our
still
code
a-
the
about
pictures of the truck, they said they don't
It's
have
still a
pictures.
recreational vehicle in the sense that it's a hobby issue, is what it
It's
sounds
a
like. Or that's what
hobby,
you're asking,
yeah.
Scott's
That's
asking
what
us
they're
to
asking.
review.
Correct.
Well, if it's used for hobby purposes.
Right.
If it's used as a tractor trailer
No, no.
for hauling anything, then it's.
But there's two
commercial.
vehicles. There's the trailer
And the cab.
and the cab.
Can you read the code for commercial vehicles? Because it very specifically says you're not allowed tractor trailer cabs or bodies.
Mary,
Okay.
why are you so, I don't know, so determined? I mean, we've had this for years, and our neighbors lived next door to us for 15 years, and he's never said a word. He's come
But
over.
he's now complaining now.
I know.
That's why we have to deal with it.
Oh, no, I understand
I'm just
that.
trying to
All right,
make
so-
you aware of what all the codes
So
are.
let me
I'm
read
not-
the code, because again, just, board-
Okay.
as board members, we don't look at this code every day. Mary does that for us. All right, so no unregistered vehicles, tractor trailer cabs or bodies, tow trucks, septic haul trucks, moving vans, hydraulic lift vehicles, AKA, or also known as cherry pickers, or any excavation, earthing, moving equipment, including bulldozers, backhoes, soil separation equipment, lawn maintenance equipment, or related trailer bodies used to convey such equipment are permitted.
Right. We
So
have.
you have multiple violations here, you know?
For strict reading of that, yes.
Well, I think that, for one thing, it has neither of these vehicles have any commercial use. I mean, the step van does have commercial plates on it, but we don't
You can't tell me
use
there's
it.
any residential use of a tractor trailer.
No.
That's
But
not a
it's-
residential
it's-
vehicle.
Well, that's the question Scott's posing to us. If you buy a historic vehicle and you restore it to use as a historical
Okay,
thing in,
but one.
But
Yeah.
that's
They've
not
got
a
two.
recreational vehicle.
but
which
does
is
that
take
make
out
it a commercial vehicle?
But do they also have a bulldozer?
No, we
No,
don't.
the bulldozer
Oh,
is
the
gone.
bulldozer is now scrap metal?
Yes.
Yes.
It was in the woods at one time, you're right.
And here, and I guess the question is, what do they mean by commercial? So everybody that has a small utility tractor with a front loader and a backhoe on it can't have it on their property?
They can have one.
Correct.
Correct.
They can have, with the ZBA approval, they can have one related to employments.
I've tried to get them
No,
to change
just
that
for-
code and they haven't.
So,
I really
so my
don't.
little Kubota, I mean, with a front loader on it, that you use for landscaping on your property,
I know. That's why I tried to get them to change that, but the only thing they did is they added that they can come to the zoning board now.
Right, for one.
For a tow
And
truck.
one that's employment related.
Right.
The one thing is that
seems to me
the,
if it's not employment related,
The-
it makes a difference.
the,
That's not commercial.
oh, sorry. The cab that he's working on is in the shape of a tractor trailer cab. But, I mean, it's smaller than most, any commercial tractor trailers you see out there. But it's not used for anything other than, he goes out there almost every day if it's not raining, and he's tinkering under the hood or underneath it, fixing lines and all that. He's not there's never, ever been a thought of us using it in I mean, there's no commercial way you could even use it. I mean, as far as we're concerned. It's valuable to us as, as his hobby. He's wanted to do this for
It's primarily
years.
an off-road military vehicle. It's a 6x6.
It was never used as a commercial vehicle in the sense that, yeah, it was an
Top speed's
off-road.
45 miles an hour.
The only problem is, and that, you could argue about the word commercial, but it says commercial or non-passenger vehicles, so it's not just commercial.
Well, it has It has
not a
2
passenger
seats in
vehicle.
it. 2.
No, it's
I
how
mean,
motor vehicles
obviously, there's people
classified.
in, go in it when it's being used, but it's not a passenger vehicle like a car or...
Can you take it onto the
minivan or
Conic Parkway?
No.
It's not a passenger vehicle, all right?
Okay.
That's,
Did you find those pictures? I just wanted, because we submitted a bunch of pictures of the
yeah,
truck.
they're in your application.
Okay,
They're attached.
okay.
They were here.
So,
How tall is this? Let's go back to the wood pile, because I'm even still stuck on that one. But your lumber pile, how tall is this A-frame structure?
It's under 9 feet,
Under 9 feet? And how wide is it?
16 by 24 feet, each direction.
And it appears to be white. Is it white?
Well, the tarp
That's
is,
just a tarp, that's,
it's actually gray.
yeah.
I don't even know
There's
what
no
to do.
doubt that's a structure.
Huh?
No doubt that's
No,
a structure.
I agree with you. There's no doubt. The way you've got it framed, there's no question it's a
It's
structure.
protecting my own personal wood supply, that's all it's doing.
And a house just
But a
protects
wood-
you and your personal stuff, too.
A wood supply
Your
is,
house protects you and your
Yeah.
personal stuff, too.
That's
And
Yeah.
your garage protects you
Yeah.
and your personal...
No, I
stuff.
understand what you're saying. We understand.
your wood supply is what you're going to burn in your
No,
fireplace.
no.
It's,
No.
you gotta take it to a new place.
No, this is,
Well, it's like a shed.
he wants to use it for construction,
People
whether it's...
store all sorts of things in sheds.
but he said it's not building materials.
It is building materials. It's
I'm
not
going
building...
by what he told us.
Are you talking about
It's not
what's
building
within
materials in
it,
terms
or
of
what
having
is
In a
built?
being a
Oh,
commercial
No.
sense.
It's,
Yes.
they're
They're beams.
beams.
You want to make a post and beam structure sometime in
Yeah,
the future.
sometime.
yes.
Yeah,
So that's a building material.
Yeah, but it's
You're
still,
you're hyper-technical in your thinking. I understand what you're saying,
Yeah,
but you're saying it's not lumber you buy in.
right,
You go-
that's what he's
You go to
saying.
Home
Rated.
Depot and you need a
Yes.
6x6 post for your deck. That's not what it is. Although you could use this for that, other than the fact that it's not pressure treated.
yes.
So, in that sense, look at, a rock is a rock is a rock until you use it to build a house, and it's a building material.
Right. I don't think that we could even afford to move it.
Well, it can't be moved because the bulldozer that I had on my property for 24 years, and I told you I used it to take the trees out of the woods. Now that I got the notification from Mary that I had 10 days to remove it, and there were no references or mentions that we can even appeal this. So it's the first time we'd ever been in this kind of a situation. So I'm supposed to move something that doesn't run, that weighs 7 to 10 tons, and get it out of my yard in 10 days. I don't think so. But the point
It
is,
took us a month
that's
just
gone
for it to-
now. I got rid of it. But that was the tractor that I used to load my timbers into this
Structure.
structure, whatever you want to call it.
Do you know where your neighbor's well is?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I know where it is.
Can you point it out on the survey? Because he's concerned about the location of your vehicles near his well. All right.
Is he,
I'm looking at this upside down now.
in what
I
way
did
is
it,
he
but I can't.
concerned? Does he mention?
What?
In what way is he concerned? Is he afraid the truck is going to
Okay.
run over his well?
Oh,
or-
no.
His well is approximately over here on his
Pardon?
property here.
So it's fairly close to your
You
property
wouldn't let
line.
that
Close,
happen.
but I don't
He
know.
said, he says your driveway, where is approximately?
Well, this is my driveway right here.
Right, so where you've got the tractor trailer parked, he says it's approximately 40 feet away from his well. So if anything leaks out of it, or, that's probably what he'd be concerned about.
Yeah, I can
is
understand that
impact to his well.
Yeah, but it wasn't, it's not leaking copious amounts of fluid or anything.
Copious amounts, uh-oh, is it leaking anything?
It has a drip on, that I have one small container that I catch drips of oil from a gasket in an oil pan. But that amounts to, I don't know, a gallon jug, maybe about that much in 4 months.
Okay. Okay, you can go back, please.
And I contain that.
He's careful because
I
he...
did write a letter to them on May 18th, and I spoke with both of them. And
Right.
I gave them until July 15th. And
So
then-
you had almost 60 days.
And then nothing was done until August 19th. I sent a remedial order, and they didn't comply by September 2nd, so I issued an appearance ticket. So
I'm
this
very-
is going back from May.
Yes, it has been a while. Unfortunately, during this period,
Well, during this period, I'm out of work. My wife has cancer. I have to take her down to New York City, New York Presbyterian Weill Cornell Hospital, like once a week for treatment and specialized tests. And we're both at the age, too, where we have lots of doctor's appointments. And a lot of our life is dictated around doctor's appointments and her care. So, again, a heavy piece of equipment that doesn't run, I'm the only person to move it. I'm not Hercules or anything.
no, it took him a month just to get it to the point where he could drag it out and have them, drag it to the driveway, because they wouldn't pick it up unless it was in the driveway.
It had to be at an accessible point.
Yeah. And we didn't want their trucks going over our leach field, so...
But I never had further contact from him. I would have worked with them if I,
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry.
That's not an issue before us. We're not concerned particularly about that. You managed to drag it out. How did you drag it out?
I didn't drag it out anything.
He dragged the
I used my military
truck
to
drag
pull it out.
Okay.
That's the only thing we had then.
I was just curious how'd you got it out? You said it wasn't running. That's
No, it doesn't run.
You couldn't get it running.
It didn't run, and the bucket hydraulics, everything were on the ground, and those weigh probably
I mean, we
3
have an
tons.
application for us. We're going all over the place on this.
Right.
There's just so much on here.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Guys, let us talk at this point.
Schedule for public hearing.
Well-
Hear the neighbors.
We could,
For
but
what did we ask? Only for the, see, look, the problem is we schedule for hearing on the deck. We can't address that because they have a structure with no building permit or anything. So that has to be taken care of before we can help them.
No, you would have to grant a variance before we could issue a building permit anyway.
For what?
for
The structure.
the timber structure needs a variance.
No, he's talking about the deck.
No.
He just asked for the deck. We
I thought
we
they
gotta do
both
both
needed a
then.
variance.
They both
do.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, an existing 10-foot by 12-foot deck.
And a little bunk, 10 foot by 12.
And it would also be a variance for 2 commercial structures. Or the 2
No,
commercial
for
vehicles.
Well,
But it's not related to employment, so I don't know.
I'm
That's
not.
the only variance we can give.
The problem is,
Well,
see,
they asked
the
for an
problem
interpretation
is
to call it a
the way the
recreational
statute,
vehicle.
But they didn't ask for it.
non-passenger vehicles.
Scott's
We
asking
don't
for
have
the
that in front of
interpretation,
us.
not-
Okay, they do have the law, I'm sorry, I didn't see that, different applications.
Well, think of a recreational vehicle, something you take and go someplace in.
The options are, public hearing, we do a further review.
Yeah, that's right. Are we going further review or we're doing public hearing at this point?
Well, I don't know what else we can review.
I don't either.
You kind of,
I just don't, I'm not seeing this, so let's go for public hearing, because
Okay.
see what your neighbors have to say.
Fine.
All right, and then, I guess we'll do the interpretation as well, because it's been requested of us, but.
Oh.
All right, so a motion to advertise for public hearing?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. All right, Pam will give you your instructions at the end, there. She'll give you your instructions. You have to put up a sign on the front of your property,
Okay.
and then we'll see you next month, and we'll
We already have an appointment for,
Well, that's the date that we already got for next month. Well, go to Pam and get it. I do apologize, didn't realize this
It's okay.
was going to be so.
That's why we do the review. That's why we try to figure out where we are and make sure everybody's on the same page.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, have a good evening.
Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Good night.
Before the board adjourns this evening, we do have an issue that came up today. So I actually need to have the board, I'm going to make a motion that we go into executive session. We need to discuss some pending litigation with our legal counsel. We will return back to the room. We will come back on the record because we may need to take some action, but we just need to have some review with counsel. So I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll be back in